Hey, how's it going out there, everybody? Welcome to episode number 71 of Heavy Metallurgy. 71 Fridays in a row we've been doing this. It's getting up there. We're getting up there in years, aren't we, Alan? A little bit.
That is, we really have not missed more than 1 or 2 weeks in that stretch either. So it's
Nope.
pretty close to a full 71 in a row.
That's pretty crazy. And that's not even counting all the other extra shows as well. But anyway, we're here another Friday, and joining me, as always, is Alan. Welcome back. We've missed you this last weekend or so. I hope things have been going well.
Yeah, it's crazy time of year, but last weekend was fun. Got to visit with some family, see some friends I had not seen in literally 5-7 years. So it was really nice to spend some time catching up with all of them. And I got to check out last week's episode sort of after the fact. It was really cool. Eric and Mike did a great job going over the crossover stuff, which I don't mind that style of music at all. I just would have nothing to show for whatever reason. I've never picked a lot of that up. So it was really cool to see all the neat stuff that y'all were showing off.
Yeah, I knew you were going to be able to make it. I figured it was a perfect time to bring that one out.
Yep. If anybody missed that, definitely go back this weekend and check it out. Eric and Marty and Mike did the topic a lot of justice, and they had a lot of albums that everybody seemed really excited to check out, and some really real unknowns, it seemed, as well.
Yep, it was cool to actually spin some of those records I haven't spun in years, it seems like. But anyway, we're here Friday. Before we bring out Mike, we've got shirts available. If you want to support the channel, there's all the normal things we always talk about. There's super chats, there's super thanks. I don't even know what the hell that does, but it's available. And there'll be a new t-shirt design coming here soon as the art is finished by Justin over at Vestibon's Blood Box. Yep, that's the name of his channel. Yep. But anyway, without further ado, we're very happy to bring back our friend down south, Mr. Myke C-Town. How's it going, man? Hi. Welcome back. We're so glad to see you. Thank you for joining us. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Been a while.
Me. What the hell was that?
It was me saying, been a while.
Oh!
I thought somebody stepped on Mike's cat.
It sounded like a child. I was like, whose child is yelling in the background?
Oh, come on. Come on.
Like Mike, Zoe's about to Ralph something up on your current 93 records. Be careful.
She kept running when she heard that sound, so I think she was confused too.
I speak to cats. I speak to the many animals, yes.
Apparently whatever you said was not kind.
Yeah. No, it wasn't.
She doesn't look happy.
But yes, everybody that is not familiar with, if you watch the show, chances are you're a fan of Mike's as well. He's got an awesome channel. The link is in the description. Please go check him out if you are not familiar. Lots of great diversity on his channel, from folk to rap to metal to underground raw black metal. It's excellent. A lot of fun.
Thank you.
But before we get into today's topic, I do want to talk about this. There it is. Dark Throne announced today or yesterday, I can't remember the day, I think it was today, they're taking pre-orders for their next album called Astral Fortress. And as you can see from the cover, it looks like they're going to be joining the Disney property Frozen on ice with Dark Throne on ice in 2023 coming at you. And I don't know if you guys have been keeping up with Dark Throne. Have you guys been keeping up with Dark Throne?
I have not. I have fallen way behind on Dark Throne, sad to say.
Well, I'm the sucker. I'm the collector scum that once I get into it, they're one of my favorite bands. These last two albums, even though they got a lot of people on the internet excited, they're boring. They're boring. They're calling it old metal, old metal, old metal. Dark Throne's calling it old metal, and it's not Dark Throne's fault. They can do whatever they want, but I just need to figure out when I'm cutting the cord here. And if their idea of old metal is that, I guess I need to revisit a lot of the old metal records I have, because I don't know. So you guys have not. I was hoping both of you have kind of kept up a little bit with Dark Throne to spear this conversation a little bit, but it's just going to be me bitching basically.
The last one I got was Arctic Thunder, I think.
Yeah, that was better. That was a better album. There was some good stuff on there.
Yeah, it was a solid turd versus diarrhea. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So there are albums after. I'll just sit here and look pretty for a few minutes.
Well, there's a few people mentioned it in the new Dark Throne sample. It's just everything's murky and boring. It's like their idea of old metal is apparently boring, like Old Star. It's like the same riffs over and over and over and over again. I mean, I know that's kind of a Dark Throne thing, but minus the excitement and the rawness, it's just I don't get it, man. But when the album launches, I think we should maybe do a little coverage of it on here. That would be fun. Maybe do it on an album club or something and really dig into the record.
I'm
But
curious to hear it because I mean, even though the cover's goofy, I kind of like it.
it's
I
different.
It's different, yeah. And them just walking in the snow. But what actually turned me off is as much as I love Fenris, I don't know if you saw the little snippet commercial thing that they did. It was just all right, dude. Like, yeah, you're funny and you're quirky and silly, and I love you, but this doesn't get me excited to hear your album. It makes it seem like it's gonna be a big joke. So I don't know.
I agree. And that's kind of where I'm at. And it kind of goes back to the whole collector thing. I mean,
Yeah.
Again, it's not Dark Throne's fault. I can stop anytime. And Dark Throne don't owe me shit. They can go do whatever the hell they want forever and ever. And I'm happy for it. They've earned their place. I mean, they don't tour. It's just two guys getting together once a year and writing an album.
Yep.
I don't have to like it, but it just seems like they've been skating a long time on a name. And I watch a lot of people online talk about how much they like the new stuff. And if you do, great, man, that's awesome. But I just can't believe it. I just think people are trying to justify their purchase. You know, I don't know. It's a collector thing. But anyway.
Hey, Marty.
Yeah.
Let it go. Let it go.
On
It's
ice.
Just a Dark Throne.
Like Fenris on the cover. He's on ice skates. So it is Dark Throne on ice.
Yeah. If they have female vocals credited to Elsa, then you can go full bore bitch. Okay.
All right. But anyway, we're here for a specific purpose tonight. Mike was kind enough to join us for the evening, and we had a little list of topics that we haven't done yet, and he chose, let's talk about bands that are maybe not so popular, but we still like them. So just kind of like, I don't know. I don't want to say guilty pleasures because, really, if you like it, it's not a guilty pleasure, but I don't know. What do you think on the topic, Mike? What was your thoughts when you saw this? This was the one. What made you choose this one?
Well, now I'm starting to think maybe I fucked up. Is it bands or albums that we like? That other
Albums.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, good. All right, yeah. So no, I mean, there's quite a few albums that when I talk about them, like people turn their nose up. And there's a couple of them where I'm just like, I get it. The band did something shitty, but for some reason I enjoy it. But then there's other albums where I'm like, I don't understand y'all's complaints. It doesn't make any sense. Like, there's a couple albums that I have here that I genuinely feel like if it wasn't the band that put them out, if it was another random band that put these albums out, people would be like, oh my God, this is fucking amazing. But because it's this certain band, they're like, they've done better.
Yeah. I like their demos better.
Right. Like, who cares, dude? Like,
yeah. Okay. Well, Alan, do you have anything to chime in about on this? I mean, I personally had trouble finding this stuff. So, I mean, how did you fare in the hunt?
Not too bad. It took, a little while to kind of get my brain tuned to it. First off, I thought it was a really fun topic. So I'm glad Mike.
It is a fun topic. Yeah.
It's kind of, fun and people kind of enjoy. I expect there'll be some groaning from the chat from time to time tonight, but that's all right. Yeah, it's a good reminder that everybody's opinion is going to be different on stuff, and it's quite okay to dig things that other people aren't into whatsoever. At the end of the day, you like what you like. Everybody who complains about a record that we're about to name, you like something that I think sucks too. So there you go. Yep. You can have a stream and I'll hop in the chat and make fun of all the terrible albums that you like. But no,
in some of these cases, looking at the shit I picked, they might be right. I might be an idiot. I'm liking some of this stuff, but what are you going to do?
Yeah. But no, it is interesting to see different points of view on albums. I don't think I've got anything that's absolutely, gut-wrenchingly terrible, but definitely ones that, people would rank kind of low or say that, that's way down the band's list of albums. And like Mike said, I'm kind of like, I don't get the complaint. I think this is I don't know why people are turning their nose up at it. I'm hearing it with a different pair of ears, apparently. So we'll check them out and see where we stand on everything.
Well, we might as well just get started in this. I know Mike has to jump at 11:30, so we should probably get rolling on this, depending on how much we've picked. But Mike, why don't you start off the festival tonight, and let's see what you got hiding in your record collection.
Well, actually, most of what I have are actually CDs.
Me too. I have a couple records, but yeah.
Yeah, I have like 2 records, and it's actually the 2 are the same band. But I'm going to start here, man, because I actually heard somebody talking shit about this album recently. This is Venom's Primeval.
I like that record.
Huh.
I fucking love this record. But, I hear these, these style cultists or whatever the fuck they call themselves these days. They're, it sounds like fucking shitty AC/DC. Well, yeah, sure, it does, but it's still good. It's still good. I mean, these songs are fucking great. Parasite is a great song. Harder than ever, harder than hell. It's good. It's good. I even like School Days. You know, I think it's Teacher's Wet. That's fucking good shit, man. If some fucking band with like ironic mustaches and white Nikes wrote School Days, all these kids would be eating it up. Oh, it's great. Because Venom did it, it's bad. No, this album's fucking fantastic.
Awesome. That's a cool pick for sure. And I remember when I first got it, I was like, what the hell? I didn't realize Kronos was no longer in the band. It was kind of a shock, but I ended up liking it. And Tony's still working with those guys today. So it's very cool.
Yep. Yeah, it's one where, with the lineup change and the fact that it's not one of the first 3 albums, a lot of people won't give anything else in their catalog, the time of day, which, you gotta listen to it a little bit different sometimes.
All right, Alan, what's your first? Linda Ronstadt.
My first is to say a thanks to my buddy Dave, who I saw over the weekend and got me some cool microbrews from up in Western North Carolina. This is called a Mimosa City. I don't know the microbrew it's from, but it's really good. It's kind of weird. It's got orange and Earl Grey tea in it, which doesn't sound good, but actually tastes pretty good. So thanks to Dave for hooking me up with something to drink tonight. And we've got the cool Iron Flame Cozy as well.
Very nice.
So, just some quick shout outs. Let's get on to an album, though. I've always liked this album, and reading up a lot of reviews and stuff lately, because I've been listening to a lot of the band stuff, I was shocked at how many people don't like it. Saxon's 5th album, Power and the Glory, which I don't have a hard copy of, but there it is. This is their 1983 album. 25 years ago, it seemed that most folks I talked to really dug this album. They thought it was one of Saxon's better ones. And I haven't played it in forever, but I've been listening to a lot of Saxon stuff lately, maybe for something that we'll do in the not so distant future here on the channel. And looking through review after review after review, people shit all over this Saxon album. I'm just like, wait, what? And so at first I'm like, okay, it's been a long time since I played it. Maybe it's not as good as I remember. I don't know. Are all these people wrong? Yeah, they're all just wrong, because I played it again and it's fabulous. It's a great Saxon album. It's, a good transition, from, no, it's not exactly Wheels of Steel, but it's not Innocence is No Excuse either, or something weird like that. It's a really good, solid Saxon album. Production could be a little better. The cover art's no big deal, but no Saxon album does have killer art. I do not get why this album has so many crappy reviews posted for it online. Just to put it in context, Metal Archives, which you should never use as a really strong reference point for reviews in the first place, this album is ranked 20% lower than Innocence is No Excuse, the one with the girl and the apple. 20 fucking percent lower than that.
Isn't that their glam album?
It's one of their glam albums, plural. This is not. This is a really good, solid metal sound. A couple of tracks lean just a little power metal. There's one or two that lean a little bit more commercial, but nothing like what came after it whatsoever. And yet people, every time you read through all these reviews, and again, I've been kind of, working through the holes in the discography that I haven't heard. every review, folks are like, well, this album's not very good, but at least it's not Power and the Glory again. It's just like, what the fuck are y'all wanting? Great album. The side A's track list is fantastic. Even a lot of the stuff on side B is really, really good. Yeah, this one really threw me for a loop. So when Mike picked the topics, like, well, I know the first thing I'm going to talk about because it's been bugging me all week. Folks really don't seem to dig Power and the Glory anymore, and I think it's still one of their best albums. There it is.
All right. Well, Mike showed off Venom, so I got to piggyback on that for sure because I picked Venom's Calm Before the Storm.
A great album.
This is, no Mantis. Jeff Mantis is bailed, and it's still Kronos, it's still Abaddon, but they got a couple other guys, and there's a little bit more of a commercial direction on this album. I really like the Chanting of the Priests. I like Black Christmas. Calm Before the Storm. There's some good songs on here, and basically it's just the character of Kronos' vocals. Even though there's a little bit more of a poppy direction, I still like this record. Is it still Venom at this point? I mean, is Venom now with Kronos still Venom? I guess. I mean, even though I really like Venom Incorporated as well, which is basically the Demolition Man era, them come back with him. But I don't know. This is a good album. I don't know that a lot of people love this record. At this point, I think the wheels on this is out in 87, death metal's coming in. I mean, Venom had been on tour with Metallica and kind of seen the changing of the guard. They witnessed it firsthand. Their opening acts were outspeeding them and outclassing them in a lot of ways. And out with the old guard, in with the new, I guess. But this is kind of Venom overstaying their welcome a bit, but I like it maybe even a little bit better than Possessed. I know that's probably a heresy, but I don't know. Decent album. Not a big, I don't think a lot of people love it.
That one was either right before or right after. Is it Trapped Under Ice or Trapped in Ice, whatever the name of that album was? Right?
See, yes, after, I think Primeval was Demolition Man's first album. Then after that was like, what do you do? Like 3 more albums with them? I didn't keep up with any of it. Primeval was the last one I got. Before Kronos came back and that Cast in Stone, I got that, and then I started paying attention again.
Sure.
But it still wasn't great, but it was okay.
Cast in Stone's not bad. Trapped in Ice I thought was pretty good, but a lot of people didn't like that album either. I should have grabbed that. But yeah, I don't think Venom really have too many bad albums. It's just a matter of, are you gonna Temples of Ice?
Temples of Ice, yep.
That was it. I think people, like Alan said earlier, people just get stuck on those first couple of albums and they don't want to let them do anything different. So it is what it is.
It is. And Mike, you're back. Your second poll.
So this is an album that immediately came to mind when we started talking about this, because I still don't understand why people hate this album so much. Yeah, this is Dark Tranquility Projector.
I've not heard that one.
Oh, dude. Okay, so back when like Swedish death metal was the shit, I was obsessed with all of those bands. This, In Flames, At the Gates. I even like some of the like lesser known kind of like copycatish bands like Gates of Ishtar and that kind of shit. But so this record is very different because they were kind of going for more of like a poppy sound, and Michael started singing. Now, he doesn't have the most fantastic voice in the world, but I think it's good. The riffs were a little more simplified. Like they weren't a whole bunch of all over the place. It was more chords, but it's a really, really, really good album.
Never heard it.
I still listen to it. I think you should check it out, Marty. I feel like bands nowadays are doing this sound. When they did this, people were like, "Oh, this is stupid. Why is he singing?" Every fucking like wannabe half-ass melodic death metal band sings now. So, yeah. This is good shit.
Man, I remember those times when that whole melodic Swedish thing was going on, and it just got so oversaturated. Gates of Ishtar. I remember getting that Everdawn Poems from the Past, and it was like Slaughter the Soul, like Slaughter the Soul's little brother, almost note for note. It was like, oh my god! At that point, I was like, I'm tapping out. This is too much.
Yeah.
Kind of happened with like the New York death metal sound. I mean, every popular genre tends to burn itself out eventually. What were we going to say, Alan? I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, it's fine. Yeah, I know. I remember when Projector came out. It's not a bad album, but yeah, it's never been a personal favorite. I think it's the album where they did start to change their sound a little bit, which threw people off. And it's the one where after that, they start trending into that kind of corporate Century Media sound a little bit. The albums start to sound a little more samey. They lose a lot of the real, pizzazz and, a lot of the really over the top, amazing guitar work and stuff that they had done on the earlier stuff. So I get why people aren't into that album as much, but no, it's not a terrible album by any means. It's just, it's a little plainer compared to what came before it. It doesn't help the Mind's Eye was right before it, and that's my favorite one. So this one, compared to that, this one did seem like they were playing it a bit safe.
Then they came back with Damage Done, and Damage Done was just fucking incredible. But
Damage Done is better. Yeah, I think it is better than Projector.
Yeah. Like there was this album, then Haven, which I thought Haven was good too.
Haven's all right. Mm-hmm.
People just did not want to hear, another no light. It's like, oh, dude. But yeah.
All right, Alan, what's your next one?
All right, let's just get it out of the way because it's going to happen. Got to rip the Band-Aid off sometimes. Swan Song.
My man.
I understand people's gripes with the album. It's not as good as what came before necessarily, and it does fade down the stretch some, but at least through the first 4 or 5 songs, this album is really, really good. Side B, okay, yes, it starts having more misses than hits, maybe, but you still have Keep On Rotting, Tomorrow Belongs to Nobody, Black Star Across My Heart. That's a good 1, 2, 3, 4 punch. So you've already got a passable record, even if the rest of it isn't top notch stuff. So sure, it's not Reek of Putrefaction or Symphonies of Sickness or anything like that, but I still like it. I think it's better than it gets credit for. And I know it's not one of your favorites, Marty. It seems to be one of those albums that is kind of divisive for folks. But
yeah,
I'm on the side of I'll give it a thumbs up. Although it's kind of a weak thumbs up, but I'll still give it to it.
That is an album by a band that should not be called Carcass. Heartwork too. I'll say it there. It's just. The name Carcass fits the first 3 albums of their career. And after that, well, I mean, now they're kind of back in that. I mean, I'm being stingy old guy. Their first albums and demos are better, but man, I've just got so much time with symphonies and necroticism in particular. Heartwork was just too slick and refined, and it was great. It's a great record. I mean, I can sing along with the whole damn thing, but it's not the same. Anyway,
that hurts, man.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I know. People, it seems like Swan Song all of a sudden when it came out, everybody hated it. Now it's like a resurgence of people that are like, I like that record. I'm like, where were you when this came out? It was,
Dude, I bought this when it came out and I loved it, but I didn't know any better. I was super young. I don't know, what year was this? This was 95. I was still in high school. I was pretty early to metal in general anyway. And before this, the only thing I'd heard was Heartwork. And I loved Heartwork. So when this came out, I was like, all right, this is cool. It's kind of got a rock and roll thing. Mm-hmm. But dude, no, I'm with Alan. I really, really like this album. I just saw Carcass a couple weeks ago. When they played Keep On Rotting, I was so fucking happy. Nice. Everyone in the place was like, what the fuck, man? I was like, yeah,
It's a killer song.
You're the guy at the Celtic Frost comeback tour when they break out Cherry Orchards. You're like, yeah, fuck yeah, Cherry Orchards. Yep. All right, I guess it's
to you.
Me. Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get this out of the way. I got 2 by this band. Kiss, Music from the Elder. Yeah, I know. I'm just talking shit about Swan Song, and then I pull up Kiss records. I know, whatever. I grew up with it. 1978. This shit changed my world. But this, by the band and by many people, is regarded their worst shitty album. And I love this thing because it's so different from the rest of their stuff. Yeah, they had a coked out producer trying to steer them in this big grandiose. You're going to make a movie. You're going to do this. you're being true artists. I mean, it's so out of character for this band, but Just a Boy, Odyssey, Only You, Under the Rose, World Without Heroes. I mean, great singing. Atypical album by a band. And typically when I listen to Kiss, this is what I'm grabbing. It's a fun road trip. And also this one here, everybody hates this album. I like this album. It's them being dark, trying to be edgy in the grunge type of way. But the songs, they're good. Rain, Master and Slave, Childhood's End, great song, great Gene song. I'll Be There. I mean, there's a lot of heart and great singing, like I said, some cool songs, heavier guitar sound. It's very atypical Kiss. So the two atypical Kiss song albums, I tend to grab both of these, not often, but whenever I'm in a Kiss mood, it's one of these two, which is a little strange. Man, not The Elder, but Carnival of Souls. It's strange for me to grab that one, but I do enjoy it. So yeah, there we go. Kiss. Got it out of the way. Everybody throw garbage in my direction. Okay.
I don't like Kiss in general. I've never liked that band.
Before your time.
I think so. They were the only band that was like that kind of sleazy rock and roll thing that just never did it for me, and I've never gotten the appeal. I keep meaning to go back and like really sit down with their albums, but it's just what I've heard. It's just not clicked. I don't know why. I feel like such a poser too, because everyone likes Kiss, right?
Well, not everyone.
I don't really have a strong reaction to Kiss one way or the other. I like some here and some there, but I don't hate them. But I've never dug into them, at all. Like I haven't heard either of those albums. I can't weigh in on them.
Okay, Mike, you are back. Hey, I got some love for Kiss on this. Good on you, folks in the chat.
So this is another album that I guess I sort of kind of get why people don't like it, because it was a switch for them, but I enjoy it. It's Moonspell's Butterfly Effect. Why are you laughing? Why are you laughing?
Just the cover, and they're like, "Hey guys, let's call our album Butterfly Effect." Band meeting. There's got to be someone in the band saying, "Wait a minute, what happened to the Under the Moon Spell and all this other cool stuff we did?" Yeah. Anyway,
I mean, so I don't know if either one of you guys have checked this album out or if you like it or hate it. I don't know.
I think Irreligious was where I got off the boat.
I might have heard it, but it's been ages ago. I can't comment on it. But in general, Moonspell's all right.
They're okay.
So Moonspell was actually one of the first. They were black metal then, but they were one of the first black metal bands that I got into when I was like tape trading in high school. I got Wolfheart, and I was like, "Holy shit, this is great!"
That's the one I really like.
It's
one I really like.
Fun album. Yep.
The last song on there, Alma Mater, is a great fucking song. Yeah.
I'm from Portugal and we'll sing like I'm from Transylvania.
Got fucking Count Chocula in the vocal booth.
In those days, he was the sexiest dude I know. Like, I don't give a fuck. There's no way I believe that there weren't gangs of metal dudes that would have given him a blowjob just there. That motherfucker was hot, dude. Hot. But
I am Europe's answer to Peter Steele.
I think he rivaled Peter Steele, and his wiener probably wasn't anywhere near as big as Peter Steele. So
probably not.
Well, there are telephone poles that don't measure up to that thing,
right? But yeah, anyway, this was where they kind of turned into like they added like a bunch of industrial to it, and it was a weird album. But I feel like if you dig industrial and you dig like goth and you dig like black metal, I guess, in some way, then this is a good album. I wish Autumn was here because I was kind of curious if she likes this, but this I think is a really, really good album. So I think more people need to give it a shot.
I did not even know that existed, and I was just laughing at the the cover and the name. I don't know.
Yeah. A lot of people hate the album, dude. They hate it because I mean it was very, very different. No tremolo, just really chunky riffs, and it was definitely a bizarre album, but I dig it.
Yeah, they
And that's why
unfortunately
we're
just had to. They just had to cancel their North American tour a week or so ago too.
Why?
Because the singer's so sexy. He probably got attacked by a gang
Too
of
busy
too-
getting
man
busy
women.
getting blowjobs, apparently.
Too many getting smothered by too many panties piling up on the stage before they can
Right.
shovel them off.
Right.
No transportation logistics. Digging into it a little bit, it sounds like it wasn't necessarily just the air travel, but more a huge problem right now, apparently, for a lot of bands trying to go on the road is a shortage of tour buses.
Oh.
That a ton of bands are having a hell of a time lining up, enough tour bus trailer kind of stuff for extended jaunts,
because so many bands are touring right now, just make up for lost time type of situation.
Maybe part of that. There may also be a shortage of drivers right now. I know for in other sectors, drivers for commercial type grade vehicles are an issue. School bus drivers are an issue. But yeah, some other bands had chimed in that they've run into very similar problems. Dragonforce almost came within apparently a hair of canceling their last tour, and like at the last minute, they found one company that had one bus, and so they got it to work out. But they're like, yeah, we were this close to having the same thing happen to us. So yeah, if you were going to check out Moonspell on tour, sorry that fell through. That stinks.
Man, does Moonspell have a big enough foothold in the U.S. to tour? I mean,
they were headlining the tour with a couple of other bands.
Oh,
I mean, I'm like I said, I'm so out of the loop with that band. I'm color me shocked, I guess. I don't know.
I didn't know that either. And their last 3 or 4 records for me were terrible. Like they just went back to, because for a while they turned into like a straight up goth band. Like they did Sin Pecado, they did Darkness and Hope, and those albums are fucking incredible. But then all of a sudden they wanted to be like a weird like death metal band or something, and it was bad. So I didn't know they were headlining their own tour. I bet they use that as an excuse. They probably didn't sell any fucking tickets. They're like,
probably it. We can't justify even renting a bus, let alone going on tour. Yeah.
I don't know. It sounds like they took a pretty big bath on it. I mean, they already this was like they had to cancel like 10 days before, so they already had merch printed up and everything.
Wow.
So I mean, it sounds like it was a pretty bad vibe for all the bands involved. Yeah,
that's a
wow. All right, Alan, what have you got?
All right, I'll have 2 albums by this band too, but I want to split them up. The first one is this.
That's a tough album.
Major label debut. Oh, I love this album.
It's a tough one.
I love this album. I get that. Yes, it's cleaner sounding than the previous ones, and yes, I get that it's got even by Manowar standards, you get the blow your speakers is kind of cheesy, but you get Fighting the World, you get Carry On, you get Black Wind, Fire and Steel, you get Defender. This is loaded.
Defender's a killer fucking
notch.
song. That's a killer fucking song.
All of those I just named are killer Manowar songs. There really isn't much on here to complain about. I don't even mind Blow Your Speakers, but I'll give folks that one if they really don't like that, Manowar goes cock rock kind of thing. Other than that, what are you going to complain about? Violence and bloodshed? Is anybody going to complain about violence and bloodshed?
Violence and bloodshed.
Nailed it.
King Diamond does Manowar. But no, it's got a killer track list. It's just, it's the major label. It's they're not underground anymore. Now it's a band everybody likes, so I can't like it anymore. It's got this one silly song, that was meant for a video or something. I don't care if it's on Atlantic or Aardvark Records or Asshole Records. It's a great album, and it's loaded with some of their best songs. So, I don't get why people, maybe Kings of Metal is better. I don't think there's that much difference between the 2 albums. It's not a quantum leap from one to the other, but a lot of folks love Kings of Metal, but they look at that one and they're just like, oh, that's the stupid album.
Yeah.
You're a stupid album. No, I can dig that one. Absolutely. All right, Marty.
Well, Ryan, I don't know if you got your bong loads in, but we're going to talk about this one. Metallica's Death Magnetic. This is a band that people just love to hate after a certain point, and to a certain extent, I understand. But this album for me of the post Justice for All era is the best. Why? Because the riffs are so good. There's some really good songs on here. And it's a bit long. They could have, I mean, Metallica kind of stopped self-editing. I mean, it's basically just James and Kirk sitting in a room writing not Kirk, Lars writing, but they don't self-edit enough. And I think the latest album is a big testament to that. But there's some great riffs on this, and it's just produced really weird, and the vocals are a little loud in the mix. But when it comes to Metallica, the post good era, I do grab this record quite often. Other than, Sirius XM has kind of killed it for me. Every time you turn it on, there's like something on from this record, it seems like. But I don't know. I've always really liked this record. I wasn't a Saint Anger guy. Or the Load and Reload, they make it tough. But this was them trying to return to form, their heavier years, and to mild success. I think there's some good shit on here. Probably not cool to say, but whatever. Don't care.
None of us are cool, so who cares?
That's right. All right, Mike.
You complained about the Manowar album and you liked that one. I'm just going.
I like that Manowar record. It's just out of that. It's too pristine. The production, the drum machine is just so annoying on that record. There's no way in hell that's Scott Columbus playing that. There's no way. I'm just going
to take a good long drink of beer while Mike gets us back on track.
If you want to call that beer Earl Grey, Earl Grey and orange juice.
It's a weird combination, I will admit, but it actually is pretty good. And it's 5% alcohol for a pint. Okay, it's not going to knock it down.
Picard dangle his nuts in it too before they can it.
No. There's a note of something, but it's not eau de Jean. No.
All right, you're back, Mike.
I mean, since we're on the subject, I pulled this pretty fast. You can't tell, but this is Metallica's Black Album.
Yeah.
I genuinely feel like people just shit on this because it's fun to shit on this album. Sure,
it is fun to shit on this album.
Styles, they stopped playing thrash metal, but it's a good, I guess you can call it heavy metal album. I don't know what you want to call it, but this is another record. Like, I heard it in high school. I heard it when it came out, and I was like, this is fucking great. I didn't know anything about there's sellouts and he cut his hair. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. They were playing like cool. To me in high school, not knowing what fucking metal was really, this was satanic and dark as shit to me. I didn't know any fucking better. But yeah, man, I still, to this day, when I go to the gym, I throw this album on. And that's why I'm so jacked.
Right on.
Y'all laughing. What's funny?
We go to the same gym apparently. I'm jacked too. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, I genuinely think it's really, really good songwriting. And I agree. Someone said Inner Sandman was overplayed to death. I agree.
Oh my God, yeah.
But Through the Never, dude, that's
a good song. That's a good song.
Awesome song. I even like The God That Failed. Great song. But Unforgiven is still one of my all-time favorite Metallica songs. And my friends hate me for it, but that's okay. I think that song is great. So yeah.
I picked it up for the first time, I don't know, a couple years ago at a record show for like $5 used CD. Like, you know what? I got all the rest. I need to get it and give it a listen front to back. I never sat and heard the whole thing.
Oh,
and
wow.
I was surprised at how much of it I had heard. I mean, there's hit after hit after hit on that record, and all of it was played. So that's maybe part of it for a lot of people. It was so fucking overplayed. Oh my God.
Yeah.
In Sandman, I really don't. I think they could have picked a different track to. I don't know if that's. I mean, granted, it's a humongous smash hit of a song, but I don't know if I would have put that song first on the album. But I'm not Metallica. They didn't ask me the question, so I didn't have any say in it. But I don't know. It's just tough to listen to because it's so overplayed. That's the only thing for me. Maybe I'd like it a little bit more if it wasn't so. But there's some good shit on it. I will agree with you, 100%.
I can't get behind that one. I bought that album the day it came out in fall of 91, was already a huge Metallica fan, had all the other albums before that. Yeah, and I was like, foaming at the mouth, desperate to get that album. I mean, we waited for weeks and weeks for that thing to come out. Bought it the day of release, put it into the Walkman, and I fell asleep before I got to the end of side A.
Yeah.
And that tells you everything you need to know about my opinions of that album. It never, ever. I woke up the next morning, literally the headphones still on, the play button still mashed in, and just like, What's going on? I fell asleep
Did
on
you
my
sleep with
clothes.
one eye open?
What was I doing? It was like,
You
no, I
sleep with
didn't.
one eye open.
I slept the sleep of the sound and looked down. I finally got my bearings. Was like, holy shit! I fell asleep listening to that. Did I get to the end of side A? I looked at it. I was like, I don't think I even got to the end of the first side. I was like, oh shit, that is not a good sign. I have hated that album ever since.
All right, Alan.
All right. Yeah, next up, let's do some Accept Metal Heart. This is the album where a lot of people seem to think they got way too commercial and way too, MTV and radio friendly, and it's, the happy, softer side of Accept or something. And barring like one track, I just don't get that. This album is not that different from at least not from Balls to the Wall. If anything, I think overall it's better than Balls to the Wall as a full album. It does have, this one horrible track called Screaming for a Love Bite, which is Udo crooning about getting hickeys. None of those words should be in the same sentence together. But other than that, it's a very solid Accept album. It's right there on par with what they had done otherwise. It's got a good sound to it, good songwriting. Wolf has come a long way since the early days. There's nothing wrong with this album other than, I guess, it's kind of a weird name, kind of a weird cover. The color scheme is very, very odd, and it's got that one terrible track jammed right in the middle of it. But the rest of this is pretty solid. I don't get why people think this is the album where they messed up, because it doesn't seem like that big a change from anything they did leading up to it. So I don't know. Am I hearing it wrong? Am I overlooking something terrible? I don't think so. I don't hear this as a commercial change or a loss of heaviness at all. I think it's still a really solid album. Accept is kind of a weird name. You're absolutely right, Aaron. It's always kind of thrown me like, why in the world would they think to name their band Accept?
Too friendly.
I don't know, but yes, I've wondered that myself. Accept is I don't know. Maybe does it have like a cool translation in German? I mean, maybe the German word sounds like you're saying like, war fuck slaughter or something. I don't know. I'm trying to help them out here. I'm giving Accept an out. Oh yes, it got lost in translation. I don't know.
I'm legit looking up if there's a band called War Fuck Slaughter, because I bet there is.
If not, there's going to be after tonight.
Yep.
Absolutely.
I'm trademarking that shit while Marty gives his next one. So if they want to use it, they got to pay.
I'm going to follow Myke again a little bit on bands that changed a lot into more gothic electronic territories. And I'm going to go with Cemeteries Sundown. This is one of those albums, their first album is probably many would call their best, kind of an unsung classic of the era, An Evil Shade of Grey. Totally killer death metal album on Black Mark. The album after that got a little bit thrashier, and then they hit an album called Black Vanity that kind of dropped a lot of the screaming, more clean singing, more of a gothic tone, and they ran with it after time. And this is kind of like in the same vein as maybe Sentenced Amok, but Sentenced Amok is way better album than this. But this is, I remember getting this as a promo and putting it on and being a little struck, kind of taken aback by it. But the songs are catchy. It's like catchy goth rock, kind of, with a little heavier guitar tone to it. The album after it, Last Confessions, is also pretty good. And so, I mean, if you're a big fan, diehard of Evil Shade of Grey, this is I think a lot of people turn their nose up to this direction, but I liked it. I mean, did it have a lot of staying power? No, I haven't spun this in a while, but when we, decided on the topic for tonight, this one came to mind pretty quickly.
Yeah, I like that era of Cemetery. I think they were really good at, and you described it well, that kind of goth rock sound from Black Vanity forward. I love those albums by the band.
Yeah. No one really talks about them.
I don't think I've heard it.
It's gonna probably be similar vibe as the the Moonspell with the butterfly on it. But Except this is a cool dead bird. It's no butterfly, but you know.
Oh man.
The dead bird wing effect.
All right, Mike.
So this album is actually, I mean, I want to talk about it anyway, but it's getting some kind of revisionist history, and people are acting like they always liked it, but they didn't. This is Satiricon's Rebel Extravaganza.
Yep.
So this was another album that when it came out, I loved it. And it's actually, y'all can get mad and kick me out of here if you want to, but depending on the week, I like it more than Nemesis Divina, depending on the week. But I probably listened to this one the most. When it came out, I remember people were like, what the fuck? They sold out? I was like, sold out to what? Like,
Really?
Yeah, I just didn't get it. I was like, they sold out. I really don't think these dudes sat around, especially with this cover. I don't think they sat around and they're like, yeah, you know, this is what's going to get us on MTV. This is what's going to, you know what I'm saying? This is what's going to get the Kardashians to give us a shot.
Man, I don't get that because it's a pretty scathing record.
Yeah,
I mean,
man.
I don't know if it's held up as well as Nemesis Divina has, but
Sure.
it's still, I listened to the shit out of that record when it came out. It's good. It's a great record. It doesn't seem that dissimilar than the rest. You know, it seemed like a natural, more so than Volcano or, the one with the snake on it.
That's Volcano.
No, that's Volcano. And then, Diabolical. I mean, they got all rocking and shit on that. And that album seems like more of a logical, journey than the others. I don't know. Those seem more like jumping into commercial more than that did.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the song, if people haven't heard this album, please listen to A Moment of Clarity. That song is seriously unbelievable. It really is. And when I first heard it, he's like, drink to that and never forget where you came from, because there's no such thing as a one-way ticket to hell. How is that something that is going to get you like radio play? Like, come on. Dude. Like, anyways, fucking rad record.
Yeah, I get if people don't like it, but yeah, claiming that it was a commercial thing never made any sense. And you're right, people did not like that album back in the day. If they're liking it now, that's history. History is being rewritten a bit.
Yep.
All right, Alan.
All right, before I get my next one, one of our viewers actually just texted me with a little follow-up. So the name Accept guitarist Wolf Hoffman said the band name Accept came from an album by the band Chicken Shack. Chicken Shack was one of those, I want to say I don't know if they were late 60s or maybe early 70s, but yeah, they're a British, kind of hard, psychedelic, funky rock band that get name dropped a bit. I've got a couple of songs by them on, compilation albums, but I didn't know they made an album called Accept. So, yep, apparently Wolf has been quoted saying that's where the name came from. So, mystery solved. Thanks, Mel.
Right on.
All right. So, next album up. People always seem to crap on this particular album by this legacy band a bit, and I really like it. I'm not sure what the problem is, but folks do not seem to dig Iron Fist at all. It always gets called like just, kind of a tired reworking of other albums and stuff before it. It's still very good. Okay, Iron Fist sounds a lot like Ace of Spades. 90% of Motorhead songs sound like Ace of Spades to one extent or another, and nobody complains about the rest of them. But they always have to point it out about Iron Fist for some reason. It's a kick-ass song. It's actually a very kick-ass record. This is one that I can put in the CD player and leave there for a week or two and keep playing it over and over. It's kind of, I think it's the last with the classic lineup. I don't see the issues with this. Do they have some albums that are better? Sure. Do they have a whole bunch of albums that are worse? Yeah. But people always rank this really low, and I think it deserves to be much higher up the chain. I really like Iron Fist as an album. I don't understand and maybe it's not that people hate it. It's just that they seem to think like, yeah, it's that other Motorhead album from the lineup. Just like, no, it's a really good Motorhead album from that lineup. Not just the the one you have to put up with before you get to Orgasmatron or something.
All right. I'm going to be the first to call this one. For the longest time when I was younger, this is the only Judas Priest album I owned, Turbo. And it's their poppy album. You know, they kind of followed a similar trajectory as Maiden. They started working with guitar synths, and Maiden made it really cool and atmospheric. Judas Priest made it really poppy and obvious. And Turbo, this whole album is kind of a hard evidence of that. I still like it, man. Private Property is cheesy as hell. I like it. Parental Guidance is the one I was talking about, but Out in the Cold is like the deep track on here. That's awesome. Great song. Even Wild Nights, Hot and Crazy Days, super cheesy. Hot for Love, Reckless, Turbo Lover, of course, is a fun song. Locked In. Those were the 2 videos for the album. I think even Private Property. I don't know. This is just, again, this was my first Judas Priest album. I came in real late to the game on this band because I was a Maiden guy and I couldn't like Priest for some reason. I had to one or the other. But this one sneaked through and I listened to it quite a fair amount. Got rid of it, but I come back and picked it up again, and it very nostalgic record for me. So I know a lot of people give this record shit, but there's a lot. Again, you know, Mike was talking about revisionist history. A lot of people seem to claim how great this is. Now, then they didn't. So I don't know. Fun record. I like it.
Yeah, I like it too. I get why some people don't. It is very much a party kind of album, but it's fun. It's got the good outweighs the bad on it, for me, for sure.
It is true. It does sound like the cover looks. The candy cane hand job. Exactly, Ryan.
Hand job.
Yep. All right. Mike is back.
Oh, it's me again.
Heaviest AOR album ever recorded. You know, that's probably true.
You know what? I'm gonna talk about this one. I don't know if you guys really ever got into Tiamat, but I'm sure you like the death metal Tiamat, probably.
Yeah, I like it, but I don't love it. And I even like Wild Honey. That was the last, and Deeper Kind of Slumber was okay too.
Mm-hmm.
Deeper Kind of Slumber is where I got on board. Were you ever into them, Alan?
Yeah, I just got Deeper Kind of Slumber and Wild Honey within the past year and really liked both of them. I'd heard them before, just never had bought them. But yeah, cool stuff. But I don't know if I've heard this one.
I'm sorry. Good. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, I was just going to say, I don't think I've heard the one yet you're about to show.
Yeah. So kind of like Butterfly Effect. I think this is the album that people jumped off because they were just like, no, done. I forget the singer's name. Is it Jonas or something? I think it's his name. But
is it?
I can look it up real quick while you're talking.
Well, he's a fucking weirdo, and I think he showed just how weird he is on this album. But this is like it's a goth metal album. You know, there's no death metal here. It's not like psychedelic. It's just a weird, atmospheric, gothy metal album.
What's it called?
Oh, sorry, it's called Judas Christ.
Okay.
They had one after this called Prey, which people hated even more, But this one I think is really solid. It's heavy. And like I said, it's just really good goth metal. But I think there are songs on here where it just gets a little too weird. Like his lyrics, Kiss Me, Honey, Snuggly Bunny, Love is as Good as Soma. People are just like, what? No, this is stupid. But I think this is a really, really solid album.
Johan Edlund.
Johan, not Jonas. Johan. Yeah.
Hey, thanks, Jack. Sorry. Thanks a lot, Jack. Appreciate it, man.
Did you guys hear the Lucifer album?
No, I don't know that one.
I can't. It was Johan. You just said it. I think you said
Johan Edlund.
Yes, he did like a full-on like goth band around the time he did this because people were complaining so much about him doing it with Tiamat. But it was really solid, super catchy, good stuff. And yeah, you guys should check this out.
Okay.
Will do. I know, and you're right about him being a weird guy. Matt over at the Dark Path has talked about Tiamat a lot. And I don't know if he still had like a pretty bad heroin problem around the time that album came out, or I'm not sure when he got clean, but apparently there was a stretch where a lot of the weird gothy psych, kind of influences got swirled in was due to a whole lot of heroin in part.
Yeah. Yeah. Usually when bands get hooked on heroin, they start writing better music. So.
All right, Alan.
Okay. There we go. Oh, sorry. Some got stuck there for a second. All right. Yeah. Another one that a lot of people have always complained about, and like one of them we referenced earlier, folks will say, oh, this shouldn't have even been released under the band's name. And I understand why, but that doesn't change the fact that it's actually a pretty good album if you can get over it. Black Sabbath's 7th Star. Sure, it's not really got much of Black Sabbath left in it besides Tony, but yeah, things change along the way. And this is a very, very good 80s hard rock album. Is it anything like Born Again or Classic Sabbath? No, not really, but it's a different group of people recording in a different time in a different era. If you can drop all your predispositions about what Black Sabbath is supposed to sound like and just zero in on the fact that let's listen to Glenn Hughes and Tony Iommi. It's got a good lineup of musicians playing a really good set of songs in an 80s hard rock style. This is a fantastic album, but people always bitch about it because it doesn't sound the way Black Sabbath is supposed to sound. I get that it's different, but the first time you listen to it, yes, it's going to throw you for a loop. But then adjust your expectations, go back and play it again and be like, oh, okay, now that I know what it is, you can try to appreciate it. And it's a really, really good album.
I need to revisit it. I bought it. King was on me to get it. We talked about it numerous times online. I'm like, fine. I found it at a record show for $6. And I didn't like it. It was too, like you said, 80s hard rock style. And if I go back to it now, I'll have a little different perception on it. But
I mean, if folks really don't like 80s hard rock or something, sure, then you're not going to enjoy the album because that's what it is. But saying that it's not, Masters of Reality Part 2 or something, of course it's not. It's like 15 years later or something.
Yeah. It's a lot of cocaine had been
there's like
ingested over those years.
It's one member left at that point. You can't expect it to sound like something the band recorded a decade earlier when 75% of the lineup is different. Just not going to happen. Appreciate it for what it is, and you can get a lot of enjoyment out of the album if you like that style. All right, Marty, what you got next?
Oh, let's see. You know what? Let's go with this one. This one, I always liked this record, and it just seems like over the years, people just kind of pass it over. But talking King Diamond's The Graveyard.
Oh, okay.
They just, I don't know. People just seem to think it's just one of the, it's definitely not bad. It just doesn't, it's not them. It's not Abigail. People didn't seem to like the story. I thought the story was really kind of fucked up and cool. And I like a lot of the songs on here. I thought it was well written. The concept, they really kind of pulled off the concept and the atmosphere for the concept pretty well on this record. I think King putting himself in the position of the child, I don't want to say molester, but abductor and whatever, but that maybe made it a little creepy, a little creepier than maybe rub people the wrong way. But I don't know. I always liked this record. After this is where they started to lose me a bit. Voodoo, House of God. I hate that record. That album is so bad. And then there's a line of albums after that. It just sounds tired going through the motions. But this one is still got a lot of piss and vinegar on it. A lot of people turn up their nose, but I think it's a good one. I think it's one of the last of the really good King Diamond records.
You're right. Most folks, will consider that like one of the first of the not so good King Diamond albums.
Yeah, it showed slippage, but it wasn't bad.
No.
It showed that they were kind of going in like I can't even say they went in a different direction. It just was the songwriting just to me wasn't quite as tight, but it wasn't bad.
Yeah. The thing that always bummed me out about the whole King Diamond trajectory was when he moved to the US and he started recording those albums in Texas in a digital studio. I think a lot of the creepy vibe, I mean, if you listen to, the Merciful Fates up through, the Merciful Fate, the first two Merciful Fate albums, the first King Diamond record, and even up through Abigail and them, they're recorded overseas on tape. They just had this atmosphere to them, and it just sounded right. Once they cleaned it up and went digital, it just, a little bit of that life, that, sixth member of the band was gone. That creepy specter that loomed over King Diamond's material was gone. And it impacted the music a bit for me anyway. It was enough to be noticeable.
Yeah. It didn't help. I mean, this is where they're also really getting into gear, having to churn out not only King Diamond albums, but Merciful Fate albums. So that, they're just constantly, we talked about it, on previous episodes. There's like a string of like 11 years where 10 of the 11 years he puts out an album, and just, it's got to be hard for almost anybody to maintain the same level of quality when you're putting that much stuff out that fast.
Yep, totally.
And he's about to do it all again. Merciful Fate's going to put out an album, and King Diamond's going to put out an album. He's already talking about in interviews. They're working on both albums in, tangent of each other. And it's just like, pick one. Pick one and do a killer album. Don't pick two.
He's had some time
albums
to work on material for a while. So, so they can probably get a couple of good ones out before they run into the same fatigue.
All right, Myke.
Well, I'm going to piggyback off of that, and I'm going to go here.
I like that record. I think that's a good record.
I do too. I love this album.
I loved it when it came out. I had such a hard on for that when I heard they were getting back together. Holy shit. Yep.
Yeah. I totally agree. I don't get the issue. People call this like the beginning of the end, and I'm like, how?
9 is good too.
Great. I think 9 is good too. Absolutely.
I like Time. The follow up to that is really good. Yeah.
I agree. I've never understood why people hate this album. And I saw Merciful Fate a couple weeks ago as well, and I was hoping they would play at least Egypt or the Bell Witch. They played neither song. I'm sure they will in this full tour, because I'm sure they'll get to play for like 2 hours. But I never really got why people didn't like this album. I think it's heavy. Now I do think that it didn't have a lot of the I don't want to call it raw, but like the atmosphere that albums prior to this had. Like this was heavier. It was a little bit cleaner, but I still think it's a solid album.
Man, you got Shadows and A Gruesome Time. Those are like the 2 sleeper songs on the album. I love those songs. Such great vibe and feel in them, In
the shadows we are alive. Yeah. I want to see that shit live, man. I want to hear that shit live. So anyway.
You saw them recently? Yeah, you saw them in Vegas, didn't you?
Yeah, they played Vegas, and they were it was like, I don't know, man. It gave me chills how good they were.
Hearing King, since he's had a heart attack, he's had the bypass surgery, he quit smoking. All the live shit I see, his voice is amazing, like studio quality amazing. Whereas leading up all the live stuff, he was struggling hard. All the years of smoking those Danish cigarettes that he'd always have imported or whatever, it took its toll, and he didn't have the air apparently because of the heart stuff he had going on. But man, he sounds so good. So good. It sounds like studio quality. I'm still bummed Michael Denner isn't part of it, but there might be a reason why that isn't the case, but it's
yeah, man. It was cool seeing Hank Sherman on stage playing. I don't remember who the other guy was that they had. It was somebody.
Michael Weed
from.
He's in King Diamond's band, and Morgana Le Fay, and
Memento Mori.
Memento Mori. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Maybe it was the bass player then that was from some other thrash.
Joey Vera from Armored Saint and Fate's Warning.
Yep. So that was cool seeing those guys all on stage together. And it was a lot of fun. They seemed like they were having a good time, but I think even they don't really love this album for some reason.
But
yeah.
Laps 9 Continuum, thank you so much for that. We really appreciate it. You're too kind.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So Alan's back.
I am back. And yes, an album that everybody always wants to say, oh, it's the Marilyn Manson album. Just like, No, don't no, not really. Wasps, kill, fuck, die. Yeah, it's got some electronic-y kind of components to it. It's a little different for Wasp, but Wasp was always kind of always had a dark streak to them, and especially through the '90s material, Wasp had a very dark streak to them, and so this album's a little darker than usual. But Wasp is always at their best when they're dark. I always like them when they seem pissed off and angry and fuck the world. When Blackie Lawless is looking to just woohoo and party it up, that's when I lose interest. But this is a very nasty, dark, creepy album.
I've not heard that one.
A lot of people either bypassed it or they listened to it and thought, "Oh, he's just trying to ride the coattails because Marilyn Manson's popular now." It's just like,
is Chris Holmes still on that one, or did he bail at this point?
That's a good question. I will have to double check. I don't remember when Holmes was out.
Because him in the band does matter. He's just got a distinct, sharp guitar tone. Nowadays, his solo stuff is goddamn awful, but he still has that awesome guitar tone, but it's his vocals terrible.
Yeah, I'll have to look it up. I do not remember, or maybe somebody in the chat knows offhand. But yes, it's a little different sounding in production and everything. So, if they wanted to say that, yes, Wasp is trying to sound a little bit more late 90s in terms of sound and production, that's fair. But claiming that they're just trying to, be some kind of, Manson knockoff, no, I don't get that at all. Wasp had done pretty well. It's not like this was a band that had been struggling for 10 years to get attention. The Crimson Idol did incredibly well.
It's a great record.
Yeah, I mean, it's a fan favorite to this day. Granted, the one in between, Still Not Black Enough, did not get much attention. I don't know if that was a record label issue or what, but it kind of did seem to slide through the cracks a bit. But it's not like this was a band that hadn't, gotten any kind of big recognition since 1985 or something. They didn't need to sound like Marilyn Manson just to get some more attention at this point. It's a very angry, pissed off album. Blackie wrote it either in the wake of a divorce or shit going very bad with wife or longtime girlfriend, whatever it was. He was pissed at the world and he pours the venom into this album, and I fucking love it for that. So everybody who's stuck on the fact that it sounds wrong for Wasp, no, it sounds dark and angry, just like the best Wasp albums always do. Let's see, Marty, I'll check up on the lineup on that one, so that's a good question.
He is. Someone posted in here. Okay. Joshua did.
Oh, thanks, Josh. Okay.
He is on the album.
He was out that early, but I wasn't certain. So, yeah, it's good. It's really good. Skip Eldorado. Listen to this one instead.
Eldorado's got its points, but man, there's some cheesy fucking lyrics on there. It's bad.
I remember when it came out, Blackie in interviews, it's like, "Oh, I'm happy again." It's like, "Oh, shit. Is this album going to be any good?" Go get your heart broken again. You always feel bad cheering for these people to have terrible things happen to them, but it's just like, you're right. Like Mike, you said better. People write better music when they're addicted to heroin. Blackie writes better music when people are fucking him over.
All right. Well, let's get this one. This is like, I might have been trying too hard on this one, but Bathory's Destroyer of Worlds. When this came out, it seemed to be kind of a ho-hum. People are like, whatever. The cool thing about this is it's Korthon coming out of the largely maligned Requiem and what the fuck is the name of the one that came after it? All of a sudden I'm drawing a blank. Octagon, yeah. Requiem had its moments. Octagon was just fucking terrible. This is him starting to point his little long ship back towards the Viking stuff. The first four, like the song, the lead off track, Lake of Fire, Destroyer of Worlds, the title track, Ode, Pestilence, very much in the Viking metal sound, and they're great songs. There's a song on here about hockey, which is really fucking stupid. And there's still remnants of him trying to be thrashy on here. The first half of the album is really good. The second half is tolerable to kind of forgettable, but the first four songs are what really was encouraging to me, and it had me listening to this a lot. Again, it was written off, I think, largely as an afterthought, but it's an important album because it got him back to the Nordland. the Nordland saga, which he ended on such a high note. I mean, he put out 2 fantastic records. Both of the Nordland records are amazing. And this was the linchpin that kind of got it going back in that direction. So yeah, first 4 songs and a couple of the other, even the thrashier stuff. There's a couple okay songs, but the hockey song is really fucking dumb. And the song Liberty and Justice is pretty fucking dumb too, but there's still some decent moments on here. Day of Wrath, decent ending, decent album.
You have broken the chat with the hockey comment. Apparently, this is a revelatory in the negative way to many folks, but Marty is correct. There's a song about goddamn hockey on it.
Yeah, there's even like the hockey song dun 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 dun, dun type of. It's fucking terrible, dude. It's bad. It's embarrassing. He was a big hockey fan apparently, so he thought it was cool, but
it's not.
It's not. It's really dumb. But
no, you are right, Marty. Yeah, that album overall, there's enough good songs on that album to make it worth listening to.
Yep.
As long as you skip the hockey song.
Yep.
So
okay.
I've heard every Bathory album. I've heard every one of them. I don't remember that album in any way, shape, or form.
See?
So,
so I guess it's good I pulled it then. Just for, I mean, you're gonna like if you like the Viking era stuff, you're gonna like the first 4 songs.
Yep.
Okay.
After that, it's questionable where you're going to land. You're going to get a chuckle out of the hawk. Yeah, sudden death. That's it. Oh boy, it's bad.
All righty.
Okay. Myke is back.
All right. Yeah, I guess we're not going to bear the lead anymore. I'm going to go here. This is Grand Declaration of War.
I pulled that as well.
Nice. There you go.
Great album.
I think it's a great album too. But I fully understand why people hate it.
I hated it when it came out. I fucking hated it.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
It was ahead of its time.
When did it click?
The last 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah. And now it's whenever I grab Mayhem, it's that album. That's the album I want to hear.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually really liked this when it came out. I mean, I was in love with basically anything that they were doing. But when this came out in like 99, 2000, whatever it was, I was like, this guy is fucking deranged. Like, people thought it was corny and silly, but no, man. Like, I thought his vocals were so absolutely batshit.
They had to grow with me. They had to grow. It was a grower for sure.
Oh, okay. No, man, that's fair. That's totally fair. And I saw them on this tour and I was like, holy shit, this is godly how good this album sounds. And yeah, I mean, this was Hellhammer's album, really. I mean, he was fucking going absolutely ape shit.
And it's really cool how the sound of the drums and the way he's playing it really, without, a lot of people that don't know this genre would realize how much it is pointing a nod of appreciation to like Martial Industrial. I mean, there's a very cold, clinical marching style drum beat that goes along with, Blasphemer's fucked up riffs, and Maniac just had such a stately way of, how he goes out the balls out screaming to just like the narration that he does. So it's really, I hated it initially, but coming back to it, I kind of seen the genius of it. It was a very forward thinking experimental record that, it was kind of like a, middle finger in the air to all the people that are like, oh, that is the only mayhem I want to listen to, type of shit.
I agree. Yeah, I mean, I'm glad they still do songs from this live.
Oh, they do?
Yeah. They'll do the first song. You have now entered from the womb in my reconstruction from deconstruction.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is a fucking solid album. So,
and Jack, you're right. That Ordo Ad Chaos album is really good too. That's basically just Blasphemer and Attila just going at it. And I love that record. No one ever talks about it, and it's got some crazy Attila vocals on it. Kind of in the same way that Grand Declaration of War was a crazy showcase for Maniac. That's, Ordo Ad Chaos is very much a Attila showing off what he can do.
Yeah.
Because he knows what you like and what you don't like, Simon.
I want to know where that story went. Simon, did you buy the album? Did you like
He
it?
did. I think you were saying earlier he loves that record.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Okay, good.
Yep.
Which I'm kind of surprised by, to be honest. But anyway,
Yeah.
good pick.
I liked that one too. Oddly enough, the local record store, which always was really good about getting all the new releases, the only way they could get Grand Declaration when it came out was on vinyl. It took them forever to get CD copies, but they had vinyl copies. And that was in a time where it was, I would remember walking in and looking and just like, why do you have this on vinyl? I ended up buying it because it was all they had.
Oh,
but
nice.
yeah, it was so strange. She's like, I can't seem to get them to ship me any CDs. So I got this. You want this? I'm like, yeah, sure. What's that?
You have the original vinyl version?
I did, yeah. I don't anymore.
Oh,
yeah.
I was gonna say, I think that's worth.
I probably is at this point.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
I traded it for German power metal long ago.
We all
the EP before is really good too, Simon. So scathing.
Yeah, Wolf's Lair Abyss is that's a creepy, fucked up album.
I wish that was a full length. I wish they would have done a full album in that style, because they only touched on it and then they went right on to Grand Declaration, which is completely different. But yeah, everybody's on. We got them going with that. Ordo Ad Chaos has got a very murky sound to it, which I think was intentional.
Yeah. It was funny too, because the one what Chimera's before that, and it's got such a real kind of crystal clear, sterile sound. And there were interviews with Hellhammer at the time, where he was really kind of boasting about how clear it sounded, and like, why would you want to hide your sound, and make it clean and precise and all that. And the next album out is Ordo and KO, and it has this totally muffled, gauzy sounding production to it.
I read somewhere that Blasphemer forbid Hellhammer from using triggers on the album. He wanted it like the old school, just put mics in front of the drums. I guess Hellhammer wasn't thrilled about it, but
yeah, because that is one slight small gripe I do have with this album, is it sounds a bit mechanical and robotic.
Yeah, very Marshall Industrial.
yeah, I totally agree. Yeah.
Okay, Alan is next. Good pick.
Yep, excellent pick. All right, I'll pick one. Marty hates this album, I think. But and some other folks do too. But I think it's very, very good for where the band was at the time. It's Sabotage's Handful of Rain.
That album sucks.
No, this album is very emotional. It's very, very good. This is where the band had, Chris Oliva had been killed in a motorcycle wreck. Drunk driver hit him, and this is John working out the loss of his brother. He writes and performs most of the music. The band is credited, but they reportedly did not have a lot of input on it. That it was just John working things out, and it has a lot of very, very good songs on it. The band starts experimenting more with a lot of multi-tracked overdub vocals on some tracks, and just some of these songs are just literally his way of they're his goodbye notes to Chris. And it's very heartfelt. It works very well for the style. It's not my favorite Sabotage album. It's not one I listen to a lot anymore. It's not going to rank way up there in the band's pantheon, but it is still very solid if you like 90s era Sabotage. It is even though the circumstances for the album are weird, it's not that far removed from Edge of Thorns or Dead Winter Dead. It's not like the band took this huge right turn off into the middle of, experimental, goth, industrial punk, hardcore or something. It's still comparable to the albums they did around that time. And the songwriting is still very, very good. You get the sense, John wanted to do, some really solid tracks and some interesting ones, as his send off to his brother. So Handful of Rain, as good as just about anything else the band put out in the 90s after John had stepped away from the mic.
You know what? I should everybody's saying that it doesn't suck and stuff in the chat. Maybe I need to revisit it. When I spun it, I wasn't in the mood to listen to Sabotage. So that's part of it.
Yep.
But,
and that may just not be your era of Sabotage either, Marty. And that's okay if it's not. It's not for everybody. A lot of folks, much prefer the 80s stuff. I like both eras, but for different reasons. They're very different from each other. But
like Streets, I was pretty ambivalent to when I first heard it as well. But the more I spent with it after your praise of the album, I said, well, I got to check this out. It finally clicked, and it's a beautiful, great album. It's really,
It really is.
really cool. Kind of meatloafy in spots, but it's all
meant
good.
to be. Yep. Meatloaf is cool when he's on stage singing, which he can't anymore because he's passed away. Sorry.
All right, we're gonna go back to Norway here.
Uh-oh.
Here's a band that kind of took the Mayhem's lead and went crazier, and that's Dodheimsgard 666 International. I haven't heard a whole lot of people praise this record. I listened to it today to double check because it had been a while, and it's still fucking bonkers. This album is bonkers, and there's genius moments on here, and there's some songs towards the end where it's kind of wandering. They kind of lost the muse a bit, but the super bonkers, industrial infused black metal, super acidic guitar tone, and just Vic Otnick's acidic vocals really are awesome on here. And I can't remember which fucking song it is. I don't know, the second or third song. It's been on a comp, and it's just so good. It's so weird. It starts off industrial and it just goes into super blazing, fucked up black metal. It's so cool how they just kind of played. It's just a playful band. I mean, here they are all decked out in their kabuki makeup type stuff. But, these guys are a who's who of the Norwegian scene. I know Apollion's in here, Vic Otnick. Can't read the text because it's too small and I have old eyes. So there you go. But if you like Grand Declaration of War and you like industrial music, and you were kind of following Dodheimsgard's trajectory, they started out as a very traditional black metal band and got more bizarre as they went. This is definitely their most experimental piece. Superhuman Villain or Super Villain Outcast or whatever is also very heavily on the lays heavily on the industrial stuff, and I like that album too. Not stuff I listen to a lot, but it's fun, twisted shit that not a lot of people liked.
Yeah, yep. I tried to get into that album, and I just couldn't wrap my head around it. It was a little too bonkers for me, I think.
It gets bonkers for sure.
Yeah, that's the first Dodheimsgard record I got.
Really?
And I loved it. I still love it. But of course, now that I'm older and I've gone back and listened to what they were doing prior, I get why people were turned off.
I love their first one, Chronic Chilkonga. I love that record. There's a little different than everybody else, but Fenris's bass lines were really cool. He was on there from Dark Throne. He played bass on that record. Just cool, weird, but yeah, this album was something a little bit different.
Yeah, it made me think of another one that I meant to grab, so I'm going to grab it after I bring this up, and probably piss some people off, but that's okay.
That's all right. That's what we're here for.
Oh wait, is it my turn or was it Alan's turn?
No, it's you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. This is Christ Illusion. When this album came out, I had pretty much all but given up on Slayer. I didn't like God Hates Us All. I didn't like the album that was right after that, and I can't think of the name of it. Fucking Old Sucks. I can't remember the name of it, but I didn't like that one either. And then I just picked this up on a whim. I was like, I'll give it a shot. It's got a really stupid name, and the actual cover is really fucking stupid and ugly. I was like, all right, stupid, ugly covers might be a cool album. I love this album. There are a couple really turdy songs, like Eyes of the Insane is absolutely horrendous, but Jihad is good. Catatonic is good. One of my favorite songs is Cult. It's got silly lyrics, really silly lyrics. But I mean, all Slayer has fucking silly lyrics, but Religion's a whore. It's just stupid. But yeah, it's fucking good, man. If you just like, it's fast, it's riffy, it's a good album.
Oh, Halo Velt, I almost pulled that record. Man, that Atrocity Blut is that
one.
The first three songs are bad. You get to the fourth one, it starts to get good. But man, there's some shit on that. Anyway, good pull. I don't know if I've ever heard that album all the way through, to be honest.
Yeah. It's good.
The Slayer is one of those bands I quit caring about after a certain extent. It might have been after Divine Intervention. I kind of just like, okay, I'm done.
Yep. I had kind of the same experience you did with it, Mike. I had really quit paying attention to the band over the previous couple of albums. And at some point I saw that one. It was just like, hey, sure, let's give it a spin. Hey, that's actually not half bad.
Right.
It's not one I've ever played very much. Jack in the comments had mentioned that, yeah, he kind of also thought it was decent, but never really goes back to it. And I'm kind of in that boat. But yeah, it was surprisingly listenable. Was pleasantly surprised.
Okay, Alan.
All right. This era of the band is controversial, and a lot of people don't seem to like this album. This one probably falls under guilty pleasure, but so be it. Misfits, Famous Monsters.
Woo,
Second one.
You're brave, dude.
Second, yep. So
You and Jason Hook are the only two people in the whole world that like that record, apparently.
and that's okay. I'm quite okay with that. I'm in good company with Jason then.
Yep.
Yeah, it's the second album after the comeback. It's not as good as American Psycho, of course. And there are some duds on this album. There are some tracks that really do stink, but there's a lot of tracks that are every bit as fun, energetic as the stuff that was on American Psycho. It starts off, it's got a great run of tracks, Forbidden Zone, Lost in Space, Dust to Dust, Crawling Eye. So, I mean, you get 5 or 6 songs deep before you hit 1 or 2 that aren't as good. It's got the production's a little bit odd. Apparently, they had a lot of troubles in the studio. I remember them. I think they changed producers or something late in the game and kind of had to salvage the sound a little bit. But there's enough stuff on here that I like. Some people just don't want to have anything to do with the Graves era of the band. Okay, but you're missing out on some pretty good Misfits tunes. Some folks say it's not as dark or as serious as the older stuff was. We Are 138 ever really that serious or dark or creepy? Some of the old Danzig songs, yes, have that real weird, creepy vibe. But not all of them did. I Turned Into a Martian doesn't have that. It's a great song, though. It's just the Graves era kind of played more into that, the B monster movie side of things. And I thought they did it very well on both the albums. So I have no problem. Famous Monsters is still one of those things that if I just want to drive fast and play something very loud, you can put that on. And as long as I skip a few tracks here and there, you've got a great soundtrack to just go barrel down the interstate for a while. Misfits.
Jerry only, as in the only guy who likes this album, plus Alan.
Yeah, this is the last kind of hurrah for Misfits too, and maybe that's why I also have a soft spot for it. Once Graves and Chud exit the band, and Jerry does not work behind the mic for this band, and then trying to bring in Des Cadena and guys. None of those, that lineup just does not do anything for me at all. So, yeah, this was it. The Graves era I'm fine with, but after that, I'm not interested anymore, which is sad because I love the band up until that point.
Okay.
Scott is with me too. You go, Scott. 4 for you, Scott. We are growing. We're up,
and that's
3.
what we're here for. Show things that a lot of people don't like that we like. That's the whole point of this whole show. So we're all going to end up getting some shit, I'm sure.
That is quite okay. All
right,
right,
go. We can take it. We're big boys. We can take it. Okay, let's go with this. When these 2 albums came out, 2 albums back to back from this band, I just don't think people were really giving a shit about what Voivod was doing anymore. And then you take away Snake and put in Eric Forrest, E-Force. This is the promo cover for Phobos. The real cover's upstairs. I like both of these albums. I think they're great. This is Voivod stepping away from the prog elements and just getting back to writing cool, dissonant, strangely melodic Voivod songs again. And Eric Forrest, he wasn't Snake, but he had a Snake-like quality to his vocals. You could tell he could sing the Snake songs live. He could handle it. It was within his range. Someone says Negatron is meh. Yeah, this album of the two is, the lead up to this. I mean, Phobos is fucking a really good record. It's really, really, really good. Really dense and heavy and like old Voivod again, or like, Dimension Hatros era Voivod again. But a lot of people just kind of discredit the E-Force era. And I just wanted to show these off because I think these are both really good albums. Phobos in particular. But yeah, exactly, Ryan. Power Trio Madness. Hell yeah. Great band. Cheers to Piggy. Rest in peace. Check out the E-Force era. It's good stuff. And I just thought of something that I need to pull. So, Myke, you're back. I'm going to go hunt that down. I'll be right back.
Okay. Where am I going to go? I think I'm going to go here. Suicidal Tendencies, Lights, Camera, Revolution.
Oh, okay.
So this is actually my favorite Suicidal Tendencies album.
Huh.
Yeah, when I tell people that's the response I usually get. It's either that or what the fuck are you talking about? But this was actually the first cassette that I ever bought with my own money.
Oh, neat.
I had saw the ad in Thrasher. I didn't know that they were a punk band back in the day. I didn't hear Join the Army or anything before that. I bought this, I brought it home, and I was like, holy fucking shit, this is amazing. This is amazing. And plus, most of the chat's not going to care, but I can tell you as a 14-year-old black kid getting into heavy metal, the fact that Rocky George existed meant the absolute world to me. Because I was like, holy shit, there's a black dude. Oh, he's probably rapping. No, he's playing fucking guitar, and he's tearing it up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And to this day, I still can throw this album on, and I just love it. You can put a bullet in my head, but you can't kill a word I said. Every song on this album to me is incredible. Nebulous Prowler, I disagree. The album after this was pretty good too, but it was just really silly. I don't know why Mike Muir felt the need to put fuck in every single song title on that album. But yeah, this is a good album, man. I adore it.
That's cool. Suicidal is one of those bands I like, but I never got that deep into. Yeah, they did some cool stuff.
Is that the one that's got You Can't Bring Me Down on it?
Yes.
That's a great song.
Yeah.
But man, when they as soon as they start getting super funky, they started to lose me. I love their debut so much. It's such a great hardcore record. Once they start getting thrashy and a little funky, it's tough. But that
I like
You Can't
the
Bring Me
thrashy
Down
ones.
Yeah.
Like How Will I Laugh Tomorrow?
Yeah. No, I that's one of my favorites as well. That Feel Like Shit Deja Vu stuff. I mean, I love Suicidal. But yeah, I mean, Going Breakdown is so good, man. It's so good. The riffs on here are fantastic. I hate that I'll never get to see them with Rocky George, but it is what it is. But yeah, good stuff.
Cheers to them. He's still doing it. That's super cool.
Yeah, they played Psycho too, but I didn't go that day.
Oh, you didn't?
I mean, I've seen Suicidal at this point quite a few times. They're always fantastic, but I don't know, man. I didn't really care that much to be around that many more metal dudes, and I don't know. I needed a break.
Okay. Alan.
All right. Yeah, I remember this album used to get shit on so much by the 19 people that actually paid attention to the band in the first place. And so I avoided it for a long time. Finally got this one of these weird promo copies and just like, what's wrong with this album? I don't get it. It's Age of Consent by Virgin Steel. You know, the title is a little concerning, and there are two songs. There are two songs that, yeah, lyrically are kind of cringy. One of them is called 17. Like, that's not the Age of Consent, guys.
Did they bring in Kip Winger as a ghostwriter?
I think he was hanging around in the stadium, combing somebody's hair uncomfortably or something. But On the Wings of Night is a really cool song. I seem to remember the lyrics being a little weird, but it's a good song. But the rest of the album is really good. it's Virgin Steel. It's got, their kind of, classic romantic, power metal, this, bombastic, stuff by David DeFay. So many good tracks on here. The Burning of Rome is just, powerful, life affirming, validating, whatever adjective you want to stick on it. It's, just, hell yeah, feel good metal. Lions in Winter, Silent Mansions. All of these are great tracks. I don't really get how one or two, one bad track and one track with, maybe iffy lyrics sinks the whole album, because the rest of the album is really strong stuff. People seem to like things like Noble Savage better than this one. It's like Noble Savage is okay, but they're still kind of working out the kinks a little bit, trying to figure out their new sound. They've got it nailed down here really, really well. There's no reason not to like Age of Consent. It's a really good and overlooked, underrated, all those things apply. In the Virgin Steel catalog, it's a really, really fine album. So don't let the army of haters scare you off of that one. If you like Virgin Steel, yeah, it's solid.
Okay. Well, this is the one I went back to grab. I can't believe I didn't think about it first right out of the bat, because I love this record. This is a band that on this album ended up in a place completely different from where they started. And we're talking about Germany's Morgoth. This is Feels Sorry for the Fanatic. And a lot of people hated this when it came out. I fucking love this record. It's like Killing Joke. Morgoth doing Killing Joke. And they, the early two EPs together sound like death, early death in a lot of ways. And then you've got Cursed, which is a little bit more of a mature death metal album. Then you got Odium, which starts to have a little bit more electronic flavors seeping in between tracks or within the tracks even. There's no sign of death metal on this at all. It's just a dark, kind of a gothic-y album. Mark Griva's vocals are kind of a gruff speaking / singing style. It's expansive. It's simplistic, which makes it incredibly catchy. It's dark. It's a dark record. It's got a stupid clown on the cover, which does not help. And, they lose their logo for the font. I mean, this was kind of the way the Century Media bands were going at this point. Like Tiamat, Moonspell,
My Dying Bride.
Around
when they did that weird electronic album.
Yeah. The percentage one. I can't remember.
Numbers, yeah. Mm-hmm.
But this album, surprising. If you find this, check it out. If you're into Killing Joke at all, it's a really catchy, good, dark album. It's completely different from their trajectory, but man, good stuff. Really dark. No one talks about it. When it came out, it was very divided. Critics didn't know what to think about this, but I loved it. It grew on me quickly, and it stuck with me over the years. Good stuff. Myke is back.
So this is the one I went to grab when you were talking about Dodheim's Guard. I loved this album when it came out, and I recently threw it on after probably 10 years of not listening to it, and I still think it's good. And that's
oof.
A lot of people hate this shit.
Oof.
Dude, it's so good. It's so good.
Ooh, yeah, that's tough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a hard sell, because they were great black metal, but then when they did this, it was like, why are you doing this? But I like it. This is Covenant. For someone that's asking, this Covenant Animatronic, which
Covenant. They went from Covenant with a C to the Covenant with a K.
The Covenant, right? Yeah. But yeah, it had Hellhammer. I forget who the other two dudes were. I don't even know if they were. Was it somebody from Dimmu Borgir? Maybe, I don't remember.
I can look real quick.
I think there was one from Dimmu, but I don't know if he's on that album.
It was one of the dudes from Dimmu Borgir. I think was the main guy in the band.
Which one is that in times? Oh wait, that's SETI.
This is Animatronic.
Oh, yep. Let's see. Lineup: Lex Icon, Psychoma, and Von Blomberg, which is
Von Blomberg is Hellhammer.
Yep.
I'm almost positive one of those other dudes was one of the guys from It wasn't Shagrath. It was one of the other dudes in.
The other guy is Nagash, and he was in the band Troll.
Was Nagash not in Demon Boy Gear or something?
Apparently not. He's not listed in here. He's listed as in being in Troll. Let's see here. Psychoma. What's this guy? The only band he was ever in was the Covenant.
I thought for some reason Nagash was in Demon Boy Gear. So
let me check. Let me check the other.
I could be. I'm sure I'm totally just wrong.
Covenant Norway.
No, they did have Geir Bratland was in the band at one point from 2003 to 2009, and he was in Demo Board Gear also.
Yep, Nagash was also in Dimmu. He was also in Chrome Division, and Blackheart was just in the Covenant and Troll.
Okay. So it was Nagash.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's the turd with the fucking shaved eyebrows here. But
which is always a great idea.
But yeah, this is really good heavy goth metal. But I get why people don't like it, but I fucking dig it, man. This makes me want to go to the club and get my old dance on. Yeah.
Oh boy, shave your eyebrows first. That'll sell it. That will sell it. All right, Alan. That was a surprise. I will say that kind of struck me. That was a surprise pull. Good, well played, sir. Well played.
Jesus still loves you, Mike. It's okay.
I hope so. So at least someone does.
Okay. This one seems to catch a lot of flack, and I don't get it. I love it by the band. We've already talked a little bit of Slayer. I'm going to talk a little more Slayer. I like South of Heaven. It is not my favorite album by them, but it's probably in my top 3, which is a lot higher.
It just wasn't Rain and Blood Part 2, and that's what I wanted.
It's a big change in direction, but what would Rain and Blood Part 2 have sounded like? It would have sounded exactly like Rain and Blood Part 1. It would just have been more. It was one of those classic situations where the band knew they could not top it, so they turned and went in a different path. They slowed down, but I think it works really well. They have that creepy vibe that you can't always get when you're trying to play 100 miles an hour. So is it a perfect album? No, there's a few songs on here I'm not nuts about, but I think it's still very good Slayer material. It's not wimped out or wussy or anything. It's just different from what they had done before, but it's still really good Slayer. Maybe I'm a bit biased. This is the first Slayer album I heard from start to finish. I'd heard a lot of Slayer songs before this, but it was always 2 songs here, Chemical Warfare over and over on a compilation. So yeah, I knew a lot of the band's other stuff, but this was the first Slayer album I actually got to hear the entire thing for. So maybe some bias, but I still think it's a lot better than some folks seem to give it credit for. A lot of people seem to think it's just shit. Slayer made some shit albums. That is not one of them, at least not in my opinion.
No, I'm with you 100%. I didn't know that people don't like that album. That actually is my favorite Slayer album.
Oh, cool.
And just like you, it's the first one I heard all the way through. The first Slayer I ever heard was Hell Awaits. And I was like, this sucks. Turn this shit off. This is awful. And I gave up on Slayer for years. And then I got a cassette of South of Heaven. Mm-hmm. And I fell in love with that album. I didn't know people didn't like it. Like, what's there not to like? Yeah, it's a little slower, but the songwriting is fucking great.
Yeah.
The riffs are great. So I don't get it, man.
Yeah. It's one that caught me off guard too. When people, started looking at like Slayer rankings and just like, why do you have South of Heaven that high? I'm just like, well, why wouldn't you have it that high? And
right.
It's like, it's so slow. I'm just like, so that doesn't make it a bad album. Yeah, I don't know. But here we are now. Entertain us, Marty.
I disliked the album when it came out because, like I said, I wanted more Rain and Blood. But as the years went on, I like it's great. It's a great record. I just didn't want slow Slayer at that time.
Yeah.
But
all right. In that case, I can get that too. I mean, if somebody was, getting it at the time and they were already, you're a teenager, you're an established Slayer fan, you're used to them being, one of the fastest things going, and all of a sudden they have this very slow album. I can see that would have been a what the fuck moment, in those circumstances.
Is that their Black album?
I don't know if they had a Black Album, did they?
Well, I mean, in the terms of like people thought Black Album was way slower and way more polished and whatever, and they thought the same thing about South of Heaven. I never thought about it until just now, and it could be a complete dog shit comparison.
Yeah.
Feel free to tell me, and I'll shut the fuck up.
It's funny because Metallica had so much success with the Black Album. You look at Anthrax, they went John Bush, and they got their sound changed a little bit, a little more 90s commercial. You've got
Overkill,
Megadeth. Yeah, I Hear Black, which was terrible. Megadeth did Risk and Cryptic Writings
and Countdown.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely trying to do more commercial leading things as well. Slayer just were always kind of Slayer. They never.
Yeah,
they were always a little too heavy and a little too extreme to really become commercial.
Yeah,
I mean, Testament did the Ritual, but that's still it's maybe a dull album, but it's still a pretty solid thrash album. It's not commercial the way some of those others you just named was.
Got it.
The God Hates Us All is them trying to be a little more new metal. So I mean, they were trying to kind of go with the time. Or no, Diabolus and Musica is the album I was thinking. Yeah, that's the one.
No, God Hates Us All is trash too.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, a lot of people that are longtime fans of this band, and I am. I love Skinny Puppy, and they always struck me as the industrial band all other industrial bands aspire to be. They had, super arty, amazing, shocking live shows. They stood for something. They had a message behind the music. It was layered, endlessly creative music. And then Dwayne, I don't know if it's Gattell or Gottel. I always said Gottel in my head. I don't know what he passed away from a heroin overdose. The band kind of was scrapped for a while. They got back together. Ogre and Kevin Key, and they put out Greater Wrong of the Right.
That shit rules.
This album is super dancey, and post Skinny Puppy, post Dwayne's death, got dancey. And I still think this is super catchy. This is maybe more along the lines of an Ogre album, which is fine. I'm fine with that. Ogre's got a unique voice. He's got a good voice, and the shit on here is still very catchy. Kevin is he's good at creating dance music. I mean, there is a line of dance music throughout industrial. But this band is legendary. And, for such a key songwriter to exit.
Yeah.
And, to pick up, and there's an obvious change here. I've heard so many people say, oh, that album, I gave up on Skinny Puppy after that. And I've liked just about everything they put out after this. Weapon, Hanover, what the hell's the I don't know. They're fun to put in the car. You can crank it up. They don't distort. They're produced perfectly. They sound great. I mean, Skinny Puppy are still fantastic. And this is a dancey album, but the songs are super fucking catchy. I don't know what to say. If you're into industrial electronic music, that shouldn't be a bother to you. That should be, it's kind of normal. But granted, I mean, you listen to songs like, albums like Cleanseful Manipulate or Too Dark Park, and they're just nightmarish in scope and layering and interesting things going on. This is not that. It's the other side. But yeah, anyway, this is another one I grabbed quickly because I heard so many long-time Skinny Puppy fans bitching about how dancey they got afterwards. But back in the day when Skinny Puppy was trying to release shit in the clubs, the club kids were bitching because their shit wasn't dancey enough. So I mean, you can't make anybody fucking happy. It's just do what you do. And Skinny Puppy put out a good album here, and they continued on and put out some good. Was it as great as their early material? Of course not, but it's still good shit.
It was different than the old stuff. They had, when you said you can turn it up and it doesn't distort, that's such a good point. Like, they had such a good production sound. Their drum sound was really good. Like the beat or whatever. Was so good. Like, I remember thinking back in the day, like when, I guess it was sort of back in the day when 9 Inch Nails did The Fragile. I remember thinking, like, how the fuck does he get such a perfect drum sound? But there are some of those Skinny Puppy albums where, like, the actual production itself was so fucking clean.
Yeah.
But
And
yeah,
it made it scarier because you could hear all these weird. You put on headphones, this shit creeping out of the back of the stereo field. It's like, what the fuck was that type of stuff, you know? And if anybody is kind of on the fence about Skinny Puppy or you want a good starting point, you can go on YouTube and watch the concert video for Ain't It Dead Yet. It is amazing. It is amazing. They take the core of those early songs and live, it's a little more harsh. There's more metallic percussion Kevin Key does. And Ogre's performance is fucked up and awesome and bloody and guts and syringes. And he's just, I mean, all other industrial bands were left, you know, twiddling their thumbs and saying, what the fuck are we going to do? You know, it's just amazing. Ain't It Dead Yet is amazing. Anyway, sorry, Alan.
Okay. Yeah, it's not a band. I should know some stuff by this band because I've known folks that were into them, and somehow it just always slipped past me. So, yeah, can't comment.
Absolutely, Jason. All those albums are amazing. All of them. And when, you know, I will also say, everybody rants and raves about Rabies, how great it is. And I love the song Warlock, but I really did not like Elaine Jorgensen's meddling in that band. I didn't want Skinny Puppy doing Ministry. Ministry was fine being Ministry. I didn't want, you know, Drug Buddy to come in and take over. And, you know, Tin Omen is a mess. And there's some guitar driven songs on that album that are just fucking, I know it was driving the band apart at that. Dwayne and Kevin weren't excited about the direction of the band at that point for obvious reasons, but everybody talks about Warlock though. That album is worth the price of admission for Warlock. What a great fucking song. Anyway, sorry. This isn't the Skinny Puppy hour. I love Skinny Puppy. Anyway, hi Mike, how you doing?
Hey, is it me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why I can't get this order right in my head. All right, so this is an album that I recently learned people shit on it. I did not know this prior to a couple weeks ago, but Domination. I think this album is fantastic. It's kind of silly at moments. You know, of course, they should not have had Where the Slime Lives as track 2. That should have been buried in the album because it's such a weird fucking song.
Yeah.
I will go on a limb and say I listen to this more than I listen to Blessed Are the Sick. I think this album sounds dirtier and it sounds meaner. I think Blessed Are the Sick is a bit too like the triggers on it are a bit too clean and it sounds kind of silly. Covenant is of course my favorite Morbid Angel, but this is a good album, man. This is a really, really, really good album. But yeah, Where the Slime Lives is kind of, I don't skip it because it makes me giggle when I listen to it, you know, Where the Slime Lives. It's a fun listen.
Whoa.
Yeah. But yeah, this is good stuff.
Oh,
Very
right.
cool. Folks were wondering which Morbid Angel album would show up first from one of us, and Domination it is.
Yeah.
How's it going, Tony? All right, Alan, you're next.
All right. Somebody had to say the H word sooner or later. Among Halloween albums, this one always seems to get ranked very low by almost everyone except me. It was an album people griped about for years. I avoided for years because I wasn't into this era of the band for a long time, and everyone just said it sucked. And I finally heard it and just like, oh, God damn it, it doesn't suck. People's ears are broken or some shit. I don't know. It's Keepers, The Legacy. So kind of called Keepers Part 3. This for me is actually where, you know, the Darius era, they had a couple of good albums at first. Around the turn of the century, there are some of the albums I found, you know, a little bit weaker. It's kind of like they were having a little trouble getting in gear. But starting around this album, they really found their groove. This is a fantastic album. The long songs are well put together. The short songs are catchy. Yes, it has, you know, one clunker, Mrs. God.
That's such a cheesy fucking song.
But every Halloween album has a cheesy fucking song that's kind of terrible. So every album gets
the
one.
Dr. Steen of that album.
Every album gets one of those, and if you don't like it, it's okay. You knew it was coming. Everything on this album is really good.
It is, and it's grown on me a lot.
Yeah, I don't.
I initially
don't know
of the
why.
Darius era, that was one of my lesser favorites, but it's grown on me.
Yeah, but for most folks, yes, they rank it very low. Reviews always complain about this, that, and the other. And when you read a lot of the reviews, this is kind of like going back to something Mike said earlier. When you actually start reading the reviews, you're like, you're just mad because this is called Keepers of the Seven Keys. If this was just called, pick some other random title, Dark Souls at Night, people would probably like the album a hell of a lot more.
Yeah.
It's got the wrong name. They didn't need to go back to the Keeper's Well and slap that on here.
Yeah.
But they did. And that created expectations, and people's expectations weren't met. And then they got all butthurt over it, and they whine about it to this day. It's a damn fine album. You don't have to get all hung up on the title. Great album. The band's really firing on all cylinders on it. You just again, let it go. It's just the title of the album.
Another one people bitch about is Gambling with the Devil, and that's a really good album too. I like that one a lot.
That's one of my favorites from the Darius era. Yep, absolutely.
Darren says, I nearly had a panic attack. I thought Alan was showing Chameleon.
No.
Remember, people, 5,000 subscribers, and we're going to have a reaction video where Alan listens to all of Chameleon live. We're gonna set this up. It's going to be great.
When we hit our benchmark, we will live stream me listening to that album start to finish. You will be able. It will be so real. You'll be able to reach out on your touch screen and taste of the salty tears seeping through your pixels because it's going to be bad.
All right,
Marty, your turn.
Okay, well, I'm a man of the world. I'm not. I'll dive in a man's anus all day long.
God damn it. Sorry, Wilson. You shouldn't have said anything.
See, I mainly pulled this to be a troll, but let's be honest here.
Yeah.
There's a few good songs on here.
No.
Nevermore. Blades for Ball is a good song. It's the Marilyn Manson, the Too Extreme, Radicult, super stupid. You could tell some genitors had rubbed off on here. I have not listened to this when it came out, but when it came out, even though it made me laugh and I hated 90% of it, even the cheesy, shitty Marilyn Manson songs are actually done kind of well. I'll say it. Doesn't mean I like it, but I'm just saying that it's done in a convincing manner. If you were into that style of music, you'd hear this and go, oh, cool. They're trying to, David was trying to push boundaries here, whatever. But the more Morbid Angel aligned songs on here are good. A lot of garbage to sift through, though. I mainly pulled this to be a troll. I haven't spun it. I don't love this record. I just thought it'd be funny to pull it out.
Now, is this the one that there's an alternate mix of?
No, that's the latest one, Kingdom's Disdain or whatever.
Oh, okay. I knew there was one where people kind of really hated the production, and then it got remixed.
It was very percussive. It was all. It was mostly drums. I don't know. It kind of killed that for me a little bit, but
I loved Kingdom Disdain. It kind of brought back that formulas fail to the flesh kind of sound where, it was mostly drums, but that Illid, whatever the fuck it's called, man.
Illid Divinium Insanus. It looks like I'll dive in a man's anus is what it looks like.
It may as well be called that.
Yeah.
Because Jesus Christ, man, I was so excited for that album. Because Covenant is my all-time favorite death metal album. And hearing Dave Vincent coming back to the band, I was like, oh my God.
This is it. I was just saying, this is it, bitches.
Yeah.
Just see how it's done. You can see how shit is done right now. Well, no.
And I can't remember if that was right before or right after they did the Covenant tour with David, where they played the whole album. I think this came after that tour.
It did.
So that made me even more excited because David sounded great back in the band. And then they did that. And I was like, why? Why would you do this to people? It's awful. It's so fucking bad.
It is. Yep. But I thought I'd pull that just to watch people freak out. But everybody's taking it pretty well. Everyone's taking it pretty good. Anyway, Mike is back.
Oh, am I?
You are.
I've only got two more.
I have two more as well.
Perfect. I think I'm gonna go here first. So I don't love this album, but I don't think it's nearly as bad as people say it is. But yeah, this is In Flames, Reroute to Remain.
I can say I've never heard that record, so I can't. I can only imagine what it sounds like. But
I got that one when it came out.
Last decent one. It's the last, to me at least. It's
That's
the
good,
last album that kind of still had that sort of In Flames sound to it before they just became like a weird, I don't know what the fuck they are after this. Even though they did release a couple of singles for the new album and they sound great. But yeah, this album is cool. Yeah, Mallcore Metal is a perfect perfect name. But yeah, this was the last one that I can actually tolerate. It's not bad, but it's not awesome either. But it's decent.
on my road trip to Minnesota, I spun Just a Race a good 2 times. Man, that album still holds up as like the pinnacle of the whole genre. It is so well written, so well produced. The cover art's fucking dumb, but other than that, what a great record. What a great emotive. I mean, where do you go after that? Where do you go after that? It's too good. It's almost
Oracle.
too good. Yeah, I mean, there's some okay stuff there, but it's not as good as.
Well, no. I think it is still a good album on its own.
It's still a good album. Colony had its moments.
Yeah, and Mike, I'd agree with everything you said about Reroute. It's not a great album, but it's the last one that is still kind of sort of okay.
Yeah. I can't remember the name of the one that was after that, but I remember it had like one of my favorite artists at the time, Alex Pardee, did the cover. So I was like, oh man, I can't wait to hear this. And then it was just dog shit. Absolute dog shit.
I don't remember what came after that either.
There's Colony, Clayman, Reroute to Remain, Soundtrack to Your Escape.
Soundtrack to Escape, yeah.
Yeah. That one's
22 reviews on Metal Archives with a 45% rating.
See, normally I'd laugh at that, but that same group of people gave Saxon's Power and the Glory a 69% rating. So
I really think
a big shot of salt with that.
The people that are reviewing In Flames probably aren't reviewing Saxon albums. Let's be honest.
I don't know. They may be if they're ranking Power and the Glory that low.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I agree, Andre. The Subterranean EP is fucking killer.
That cool. Never gets mentioned, and that is an amazing EP.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
That was the first thing I ever heard by the band, and I just dropped my shit.
Wow.
All right. Ellen is back.
All right. I don't know if this album is really disliked, but everyone seems to think it's weaker than all the others from this era. And I never really thought of it that way. I just thought of it as being, just another very solid album. It's Dio's Sacred Heart.
I like that album.
I
don't remember anybody slamming it.
I don't see a lot of people slam it, but I see a lot of people. They seem to try to find very polite ways to say it's Dio gone commercial and gone too commercial.
Well, it was kind of his breakthrough album for sure.
Yeah.
And yes, it's it is a little cleaner sounding than some of the others. It's they're not wrong, but it's still not a bad album.
Exactly.
It's funny because listening to people like you said, Marty, I don't hear people flat out gripe about the album, but you also get the sense sometimes I get the sense the only reason they're not is because it's a Dio album. And there are certain people that you just really don't want to, fuck with or disparage, if you're going to have your true metal street cred stay intact. Sure. Pissing on anything that involves Ronnie James Dio is an iffy proposition. That will bring a lot of hate on you in many circles. So a lot of folks say, oh, well, I guess it's okay. It's awfully commercial sounding, kind of radio friendly, but I guess it's okay. It's like it's a little better than okay. It still has a very good track list to it. There sounds solid. I don't think it needs to be put like a rung lower than all the other 80s era Dio albums. I think it is right there in the pack with the rest of them. So not something that is necessarily unpopular, but people always seem to want to qualify it as being a step down from the rest, even though they do it nicely. And I just don't think it's a step down.
No.
All right. We're getting into probably thin ice here with my next two polls. Maybe not. This album is the only album by this one woman project that I like.
Oh no.
And it's mainly because of who she surrounded herself with for this record.
Who she ripped off?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is Merker's what the hell's the name of this album? I think it's just called Merker.
Yeah. It's good.
And you surround yourself with older people. You know, Garm produced it, had a hand in some of it. This sounds like her interpretation. Well, her doing her best to cover Bergtot.
Yep.
And for it, I like it. I think there's some well-written songs on here. It is very much like Bergtot. It just is, which to me is always a perfect album. It's great. It's like the high end of the high end of I don't even own any Great Cat.
Oh man.
That chick, every band picture with her mouth wide open, it looks like she's going to catch June bugs in there. Every single picture.
I don't think it's June bug she's trying to catch.
Right.
Sears Roebuck lingerie and mouth open. Yeah. June bugs. I always thought June bugs going to fly in there. Anyway, Merker, this album, I shouldn't like it as much as I do. I did not like the demo that came out before this or the mini CD. I hated what came after it. I don't think this comes from a legitimate place of passion. This is just her surrounding herself with the right people. And it turned out good as far as it sounding like Over. So, yep, guilty pleasure, I guess. I do like this record. But I like Bergtot, so.
Yeah, I remember when that record came out, I was with you. I loved it as well. I thought it was fantastic. I never cared about the whole poser thing or whatever. I don't give a shit about stuff like that. But when you talk about a place of passion, when I kept seeing her and I was like, fuck, she looks super familiar. And I couldn't figure it out until I realized that like she came from like, she was in a pop band, which I didn't care about. But she was in a video with one of my favorite rappers at the time, R.A. the Rugged Man. And she's kind of just like dancing around and like, I was like, wait a minute, that's the same woman that did this weird black metal album? But
she's also a model too.
I can see that. I mean, yeah. She's crazy hot, of course, but I did kind of find it a little disappointing that people were just like, oh, you know, because she was a model and because she was in the pop band and because she's into hip hop, she can't possibly make a good black metal album. And it's like, well, that's just silly. That's just silly. It definitely doesn't sound passionate. I agree with you, Marty, but I think it's a good album.
It's a good album.
Yeah.
I saw her in a video. I think a Bath did one of these too, where, you know, they sit with their guitar and play through songs of their album. She did one and it was terrible. She struggled to play the guitar. It was like a simple riff. I'm just like, this just tells me that other people played on her records. You know, I don't know.
Shame.
Yeah. But anyway, yeah, good album. The best 8 years of Over.
Maybe she hurt her thumb before she played on that video.
Maybe.
You ever think of that, Marty? Did you ever think about the fact that she may have hurt her thumb?
Maybe. Yep. Could have happened. I don't know. She could play, you know, other traditional instruments quite well. So maybe it was just an off day or she felt on the spot or something. I don't know. Because I know if I don't play for a couple weeks, I super suck. So I get it. I'm being judgmental. I'm terrible person. Myke is back with his last pick.
So yeah, you know, this isn't really an exciting pick, but it is one of the ones that came to my mind when we were talking about this. But I talked about this band earlier, and yeah,
that's a tough record for me too. It's got its moments, but it's kind of boring. I don't know.
I don't think I've heard this one by them.
It's very slow. It's very slow.
Yeah.
And for someone that typically doesn't like slow metal, this one definitely took me a while to get into. Marty, when it first came out, I hated it. I was like, God, what the fuck are they doing? This sucks.
Yeah.
It literally took about a year, and I returned to it. And I was like, wait a minute now. This is really good. It doesn't sound like Satyricon. Now, this is also coming from a person that likes the black and roll albums. I like Diabolical. I like Volcano.
It's got its moments, but it's
Yeah.
not. Yeah, the first four, my faves
Yeah.
for sure.
Those are untouchable. Those first classic, those are untouchable. But I think this is good. Now, what came after this, I wasn't really a fan of. But this record, I think it has some good riffs. I feel like the people that fucking jack off over newer Dark Throne, how slow and boring that shit is, I feel
So
like
boring.
they should love this because yes, this is slow, not quite as boring, and I think the riffs are better. So yeah.
There's a one song on there with the guy singing clean through the whole thing. That song was kind of catchy.
Phoenix.
Yeah.
Yeah, they had like a whole orchestra for that, and I think it's good. It's just I think that Satyr was going through some weird shit. I mean, all of those Norwegian bands jumped shark, all of them. None of them stayed doing the same shit. They all started doing weird stuff.
They did.
Just some did weird better than others.
Right. All right, Alan.
All right. My last one is an album that band members themselves said for years was a piece of garbage and actually encouraged people not to buy it.
Oh, man.
And I think it's one of their best. I think folks have come around on it a little bit more over time, and I think the band has finally gotten over it too. They had a bad experience recording the album was part of the issue. It's Paradise Lost by Cirith Ungol.
That's a good album.
It's a very good album. It has its problems. It was their fourth and last one before the band split for a long time. They had major issues with the record label interfering, a producer who didn't listen to them and did shit behind their back, new members brought in who had very different ideas songwriting wise that didn't gel with the rest of the band very well. There were problems. I get it. And so, yeah, the band left very bitter after this release. Ron Garvin for years panned this album anytime he did an interview with folks about Cirith Ungol. I loved the band, so I wanted to hear it anyway. I eventually tracked it down on cassette because it was for a long time until it got reissued in the past few years. This was a very hard album to get. The label never would give the rights to anybody to do it. And yes, you get some weak tracks, but you also get 5 songs that are as good as anything this band ever did. You get Join the Legion, you get Before the Lash, and you get the closing trilogy, Chaos Rising, Fallen Idols, and Paradise Lost. And those 5 songs are as good as anything Cirith Ungol ever did, bar none. So you have 5 amazing songs and 4 other songs. And some of the other songs, like The Troll isn't terrible. It's a little weird, a little clunky sounding. The cover of Fire by Crazy World of Arthur Brown, they could have done a great job on that cover, and it just feels very flat. But again, they were having a lousy time in the studio, so I don't think their heart was in it. That's a song they probably could nail if they wanted to. The other 2 tracks were, brought in by other folks, one of them from another project, and it really shows that, they're just not Cirith Ungol type songs. So, has some bumps, but if you want to skip a couple of tracks here and there, that's fine. You get 5 of the best slabs that this band ever put out on Paradise Lost. So the band, I think, has gotten over it. I think other folks have discovered the album now that it's more readily available. If you haven't and you're still kind of stuck on, I thought everybody said that album was horrible. Nope, go check it out. It's not perfect. You're going to have to skip a few, but there is excellent stuff. It's as good. It's probably, to be honest, the Cirith Ungol album I reach for the most often out of all of them. I probably play Paradise Lost more than anything else. I just have to skip 1 or 2 songs.
Good pull. TJ's got a good point here. Why is it that as we've aged, we want to make more excuses for bands instead of just saying they suck?
I saw, that was a good comment. I was posting some reply to that before I showed this one.
Well,
why do we do that?
I think it all depends on if we like it or not. I mean, if the public opinion is this sucks, and then you're thinking, well, I kind of like it, you start making excuses for it, I guess. Because, you like a band so much, you get the false feeling that you know them somehow and you have to defend them, and it's not true. And I don't know. And there's things I think suck. It's mainly because I don't care for it. But like you, TJ, and Avantasia, you want to say that shit sucks, but it's too talented to say it sucks. You can't. I mean, it sucks because you don't like it. It doesn't suck because it's not talented. I mean, you put all the world's best metal singers on an album, it's not going to suck. You just have to determine if you like it or not. So, I mean, I don't know if I've answered that question properly, but that's just what I think when I hear that. What do you guys think?
I don't know, man. I think that as you get older, you do sort of make excuses sometimes, but I don't think it's always excuses. I think that at least as I get older, I think I'm a little bit more understanding and slightly forgiving when bands want to do different shit. Like when a band makes a drastic change. When I was younger, I'd be like, why the fuck are you doing this? Just call it something else. But as I get older, I'm like, you're an artist and this is your band, your art. Do what you want to do with it. If I, as a fan, don't enjoy it, then fuck me. That's cool. But I don't necessarily think these days, at least, I don't think I make excuses anymore. I'm just like, I get it. Like, I wouldn't want to do the same exact thing every single day over and over and over again, just as a job, let alone having to do that and then try to sell it to someone and make them think that it's worthy of paying for, Like, I think as I get older, I'm more accepting of artists making art, and I don't expect them to make the same art over and over again. And I don't expect them to make art that is, the art that I want them to make. Like, who gives a fuck what I want? Make what you want to make. It's your shit.
Yeah, if you want what you want, you go make your own damn music. You know what I mean?
Right. But I can still call out if I think something sucks.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I think Mike's right. Part of it, when you're, young, to some extent, dumb and very, very passionate, it's all new. You're hearing it all for the first time. You get very personally attached to bands and albums. And so, yeah, when something comes out that disappoints you, it doesn't, again, doesn't meet your expectations, you take it very personally and you're a lot more likely to say, this is shit, this is garbage, this fucking sucks. And as you get older, your tastes broaden to some extent. You can start to appreciate things that you couldn't in the past. And yes, you just also, you don't necessarily have the same level of attachment to everything. You start to realize it's like, it's okay if I don't like this album. It's not the end of the world if one of my favorite bands puts out an album that, doesn't, resonate with me personally as much. I think maturity is part of it. But at the same time, I think folks will still say if they really don't like something, they're going to say, "Hey, that sucks." But I think they're also more likely to qualify as like, "That's just my opinion." If other people dig it, that's fine. You realize that not everybody has to like the same music, and if someone doesn't, they're not attacking you personally. If they say, your favorite album's a piece of trash, okay, that really doesn't impugn my honor. I don't need to swear some kind of Klingon blood oath against you and your whole family because you don't like my favorite album. But when you're, a teenager or something, you go to war over that kind of shit. But you don't when you're 40 something.
There's no accounting for taste either. But
that too.
Speaking of which, I'm next. I saved the best for last.
If you show Virtual 11, we're done.
No. Growing up, I had a very diverse range of friends who were into a wide array of music. It, got me into goth, it got me into industrial, it got me into punk and hardcore, and, some other, like college type radio and alternative type music as well, kind of seeped in there as well. And a close friend of mine, Jason, was a big U2 fan. So here it is. Am I supposed to come out and say how much I like U2? Probably not. But this record in particular, The Unforgettable Fire, it's great. Total atmospheric record. It's got that mystical sound to it. The songs are not typical pop music fare. They're a different sounding band. I don't know what the deal is on this. I really like them up through Joshua Tree. After that, I stopped kind of caring. But this is one of those bands that Jason turned me on to. I mean, he also turned me on to The Cure. I love The Cure. Early REM during the college rock years of REM, I liked them too. I didn't like them when they started getting really big. I like the weird, droning, jangly, strange thing they had going on. But U2 is one of those bands. I've got all the shit on vinyl up through Joshua Tree, and that's all I need. That's all I need. Do I spin these a lot? No, my wife likes them, so I'll pull them out once in a while. But yeah, I mean, incredible atmosphere on this record. I mean, the cover kind of sizes up the way it sounds in a lot of ways. If you hate Bono, hey, I don't blame you. Yeah, it's cool. Other people in here are liking that as well. Yeah, I've turned in my metal card. I know. Whatever. But no, I dig it. Is it, am I waving the U2 flag all over the internet? I'm not, but I do appreciate these records. I think it's good stuff. Whoa, a lot of metalheads. I picked them because a lot of metalheads would say it's garbage, but I don't think it's garbage. I think it's good. I think the Edge was an innovative guitar player that used effects very smartly. Good stuff.
Yeah.
And that's it for me.
Yeah.
What are you going to say?
I was just saying, U2's okay. I don't hate them. I've never really gotten that into them. I dated a girl for a while who was absolutely obsessed with them. I mean, go through Bono's trash looking for fingernail clippings, kind of obsessed with them. We didn't date very long. But I don't mind their stuff, but it's never a band I've really gotten that into either.
Yeah, I never liked U2. I had a lot of friends who thought they were just the best band ever. I mean, admittedly, I thought they were dumb when I was younger because I just couldn't get over the fact that the dude's name was The Edge, but he wrote music like that. But I mean, yeah, I think I've never actually sat down with a full U2 album. I've never cared enough, but now I kind of want to. So maybe I'll do that. What's the one you just showed called?
The Unforgettable Fire.
Okay.
Yeah. One of the things for me, and someone mentioned this a long time ago, and I'd never thought of it. There was a similar band from, let's see, U2 was Ireland. Big Country from Scotland had kind of a similar vibe, and they were coming up at a similar time.
Yep.
And I always liked Big Country a lot better. That's a band I do love. And there's even some similarities in the guitar style between what, Stuart Adamson would play and what the Edge did. And but I remember years ago talking with somebody who said, yeah, U2 is not quite my thing, but I love Big Country. He's like, it's kind of funny because everyone seems to, be for like, they like one band or the other, and it's almost like the United Kingdom wasn't big enough for both those bands to break out side by side. That it just had to be one or the other, and it ended up being U2, of course.
Sure.
But yeah, big country albums that we can go deep on sometime. I can nerd out on that for a long time. But U2,
my buddy Jason was also big into Big Country, and I heard a lot of Big Country.
Excellent band.
Yep.
Yep. So yeah, if somebody wants something like U2 that's not Bono, go check out Big Country. First 4 or 5 albums are all just beautiful.
That guy kind of met a tragic end. He killed himself, I believe.
Hung himself in a hotel room in Hawaii years and years later. Yep. After dealing with all the same rock star drug addiction, depression kind of crap too many of them deal with. Sad but true.
Sad but true.
Oh, fuck that Black Album shit. You guys go away. I'm done here.
You did it, man.
Well, shit, everybody. That's
Did
it.
you really leave?
He'll be back.
Okay.
There he is. He's back.
Mike, thank you for joining us so much. It's been very fun. It was a very fun topic.
It was a fun episode for sure. And I thought my picks were shitty, but after showing them and talking about them, I feel a lot better about it. So it's all good.
You should.
It's all good.
Yeah, thank you guys for inviting me. This was a lot of fun, man.
Open invite. Anytime you're bored and you want to hang out.
Oh, yeah.
Just picking a topic's the hard part.
Yeah. If you think of something that you'd like to, hop on and talk about one night, just send us the topic and we'll get you worked in as soon as we can. Absolutely.
Yep. Absolutely.
Deal. I will do that.
Hey, and for over the 100 and some people that were watching tonight and keeping the chat blowing up, thank you so much. You're all great. Super chatters, thank you so much. And production notes. Wednesday, we are covering in the album club, Hades Again Shall Be.
Nice.
So myself, Jim, and Kellen will be discussing that album in about an hour. And I picked it because I just think it's one of the best Norwegian black metal albums that no one ever talks about. So we're going to talk about
that album, Marty.
I did. Did you like it?
I don't remember that. You sent me a CDR of that album.
Oh shit. Okay,
Yeah.
right on.
I still have it. Yeah, it's great.
Darren, that is a great top. Bands with no eyebrows would be a great topic. Yep. We'll have Myke back on for that one.
That'd be great for me because I have no eyebrows.
There you go. Yep. He's going to start his own band too. But we had a great time. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Myke, go to Myke C-Town. The link is in the description. Go to Let's Talk Metal.
Myke, you've got one question here as we wrap up.
Oh.
What's PFC? Sorry.
PFC reunion.
PFC. I don't know who that is. I'm probably going to feel real stupid when he says who it is, but PFC.
It's nothing dealing with Pink Floyd.
I keep want to say Perfect Circle, but that's not correct.
Yeah. Let's see if you can.
Come on, BSC, type faster. I'm curious.
That's right, Tim, and they have no soul either.
Prayer for cleansing.
Prayer for cleansing. So I'm going for Catharsis, but yes, I got tickets to the second night. So if you're going to be there, maybe I'll see you. I'm stoked for that though.
Oops. Sorry, Alan. Oops.
Oh, it's all good.
Chaos. Okay, everybody, thank you so much. Again, Let's Talk Metal. Go check out his channel. Go check out Myke C-Town's channel for sure. And thank you, everybody, for the support. Had a great time. We will see you again very soon. Cheers.
Everybody have a good weekend.